please take the time to visit podsurvey.com/peasants to complete a short 21-question survey. Participants in the survey will be entered into a chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card. The survey can be taken multiple times, so feel free to visit back each month for your chance to enter the drawing. Please help to support the show by using our Amazon links located in the description anytime you purchase anything from Amazon. It's a great way to support the show while just going about your normal business shopping on Amazon.com. Also, check out our storefront for Drunken Peasants recommended merchandise. Patreon pledges of $5 or more will now receive 2 private shows each month. In addition to the private shows, Patreon pledges of $10 or more will receive the Drunken Peasants post show after each episode of the Drunken Peasants, Ben and Billy's monthly shitty movie review, and regular behind-the-scenes vlogs with Ben and Billy. Sign up anytime to catch the future shows as well as past content. If you want to catch the post shows but you're not a patron, click the join link below this video to become a member of the Drunken Peasants channel. In addition to each post show, you'll also get special badges and emojis that you can use in the Drunken Peasants live chat. Streamlabs will be open for the duration of each episode. Click the link below to send us a message. Donations $20 and above will be read out through text-to-speech and will require our immediate attention. All donations below $20 will be read at the end of each segment. Keep an eye out for our weekly Streamlabs goal, which if we meet, we will do an extra show the following week. If you find any content you'd like to see us cover on the show, send it to drunkenpeasantsinbox@gmail.com. All submissions will be reviewed for possible usage in a future episode. Click the Discord link in our description to join the Drunken Peasants Discord. Interact with other Drunken Peasants fans in text and voice chat, as well as the peasants themselves. Visit the Google Play Store and download the Drunken Peasants app to catch the audio version of the show while you're on the road. In addition to the app, the audio-only version of the show is also available through iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, and other audio platforms. That's all we have for now. Enjoy the show.
Drunken Peasants Podcast.
Say, man, you got a joint? No. It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
From the strangest corners of the internet, here to bring you opinions of the world from an altered perspective. Here are your hosts, the Drunken Peasants.
Oh, hello everybody. Welcome to the Drunken Peasants Podcast, episode 493.
Suck it!
And today, joining us on the show, we have Mike from the Humanist Report. Welcome, Mike. Oh, and I have him muted. That was my bad. All right, Mike, welcome again.
Thank you very much for having me back on the show. Appreciate it.
And also, we have Zonstar. Thank you for joining us once again.
Greetings. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Billy.
Yeah,
nice
to
meet
you guys back.
you, Mr.
Nice
Humanist
to meet you
Report.
as well. Yeah, thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
Fourth time's the charm here on Drunken Peasants. Good to see you guys again.
Yeah, and I always want to call you Zonster because of the Keenism, the Brett Keenism of Zonster.
Yes, that's right. Zonster. He was also the same person that couldn't pronounce. I remember he was trying to pronounce some word. He was reading. He did a video like years ago to some comment, and he was trying to pronounce the word demonstrably, and he was how to? It's demonstrable, and then he just continued.
You know what? I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but there's an entire a book of Keenisms.
Children's book.
Well, it's a not for children's children's book.
Yeah.
And it's out there on Amazon. It's really interesting if you look it up. Yeah.
Does it have Marlon Bundo in it?
I don't know. He does kind of look like Marlon Brando from the Island of Dr. Moreau a little bit. So both. I'm going to ask both of you guys. Maybe you have the same opinion, maybe different. How do you feel about the election?
Yeah, we did the bare minimum, I think, in taking back the House. So that way there's at least one check on Donald Trump's tyranny. But I'm a little bit disappointed that it wasn't the complete repudiation of Donald Trump. I mean, I think that it was close enough to where you can make the case, but at the same time, Republicans can make the case that it wasn't because they gained some seats in the Senate, which isn't super surprising. But yeah, it went okay. And now we can kind of stop the hemorrhaging. Granted, Democrats hold strong. It's not looking good so far, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
I don't know. I had a very different. Go ahead, Billy.
I just think these Democrats need to stop spin kicking women's phones out of their hand and karate chopping reporters. It's not doing them any favors.
You saw that video too. I love that it's gotten to the point. I never thought I would see the day when an actual U.S. presidential administration would retweet a photo that was done from InfoWars. I never thought it was a completely doctored video from InfoWars. And I have a bit of a different take on it in general. I mean, I think that the election actually went quite well. I mean, yes, there were a couple disappointments in the Senate, but you know what? The Rick Scott Bill Nelson race is not over yet. That race is getting really close. I'm sure you probably saw it. There's that race is probably still 50-50. I went to bed thinking that was a lost cause. It's down to within 0.2 points now because of all the provisional ballots that are still being counted and all the mail-in ballots and absentee and everything like that are still being counted. And most of those are in Broward County, which went 70% almost for Nelson. So that margin that was at 60,000 votes is now down to 17,000 votes. And it's probably going to go to a hand recount because it's less than 0.25% now. So you remember back in 2000 with the hanging chads and looking at it's probably going to come down to that again.
Yeah. Also, I think the same is possibly true for the Gillum-DeSantis gubernatorial race as well, because that's getting closer. There's more ballots that are being counted. Mm-hmm. And then there's also the situation in Georgia where it is so close. And essentially, for me, I believe that Stacey Abrams won, but the election was stolen from her when you look at all the bullshit that was going on. I mean, you have the Secretary of State running for governor, overseeing his own election, suppressing the votes, just brazenly trying to rig it in favor of himself. So that situation is also interesting. I believe there may be a recount or something going on, but it's not over there too. So, I mean, I think that you're right. I think that you can spin it in either way, but for me, I was hoping for a blowout. I was looking for a tsunami. And it's not like I'm even enthusiastic about Democrats. Anyone who watches my show knows that I beat up on them all the time. It's just that we were looking, and when I say we, I mean just generally people on the left, center left, looking for that really strong repudiation of Trump. And I don't think we got it, but I do think that we shouldn't be completely down. I actually do admire your optimism because I think you have grounds to be optimistic. There were a lot of victories that were great. We had a lot of really firebrand progressives get elected, which is excellent. I mean, we have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, just to name a couple. So, I mean, there's definitely good news. And I think that with those people in Congress, we're going to be a little bit stronger. Hopefully they'll keep the Democrats just hold their feet to the fire so that way they hold Republicans' feet to the fire. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It'll be very interesting. But and there's another thing that's kind of lost with all the talk about governorships and House races and Senate races, and that's state legislative races. Do you realize Democrats were able to flip, as of last count, it was 335 state legislative seats across the country, and that was as of Wednesday, and there were a lot of elections where it was still close. It was too close to call, but they were still ahead, and that's that's a huge thing too, because that's
Yeah.
where the bench comes from for the bigger races and stuff like that. I mean, that's where Jennifer Wexton in my district, which was the first one to flip, Virginia 10, Comstock got beat by Wexton, and that's where Wexton came from, is the state legislature. So that's that's some hope for the future right there. It doesn't even have to all be now. I think now is pretty good. I'd rate the election honestly like a B+ from a Democratic perspective.
Yeah, that's fair. And one good thing is that in 2020, the numbers look a lot better for Democrats in the Senate. And this time, I mean, it was an uphill battle either way, because there were just more Democrats up for re-election. Whereas in 2020, I think there's only, 11 Democrats up for re-election?
Yes. Yeah, it's a lot fewer.
Republicans are going to have to defend their lead, and it's looking better for us. So, I mean, we set ourselves up in a place that I think is pretty good for, going into 2020.
One thing I think that really doesn't need to happen is making Nancy Pelosi the speaker again. I think she got to be the speaker. She's old. Make someone young the speaker of the House.
Well, and I actually, for me personally, I've been petitioning for Barbara Lee. I actually created a petition, so if people want to go and sign that. Barbara Lee is someone who, she's not young, but she represents what young people are enthusiastic about. So she has a hugely just bold anti-war record, unlike anyone else in Congress, perhaps besides Bernie. She supports Medicare for all. So someone like her who has the experience is what we need, because, for me, I would love to just say, if I could pick anyone, it'd be Ro Khanna, it'd be Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, but that's realistically not going to happen. But what they're looking for is someone who's going to raise money for them in the House. And even though I want Barbara Lee to win, even though she has the experience and they can't discount her there, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to money, I think. And Nancy Pelosi has been raising a metric fuck ton of money for other House Democrats. So odds are they're going to go with her. And that's just a damn shame, because you're right, Ben. She already, I don't know if you guys saw her victory speech. In her victory speech after Democrats retook the House, she already was waving the white flag, saying, we need to strive for bipartisanship. And then the entire crowd that she was speaking to just got silent. And there was one person that was like, woo, bipartisanship. It's like, who's excited for that? It boggles my mind that Democrats are willing to shoot themselves in the foot just for money.
We already tried that the last time Nancy was speaker under Obama, right? We already tried the bipartisanship. When we had control of the entire federal government, we tried bipartisanship.
It didn't work too well. I mean, the Affordable Care Act was a vote along party lines, and it's not going to work. Look, and here's the thing that we have to make Democrats understand. You can't be bipartisan and reach across the aisle with a party that slaps you across the face and spits in your fucking eye every single time you try to do that. And furthermore, the Republican Party has drifted so far to the right that they are now in extremist territory. I mean, there's been a rise of right-wing politics across the world, but they were more comparable to the really fringe right-wing parties that you see in Europe. Now, that's one of our main two parties. If you meet them halfway, you're meeting lunacy halfway, and you just can't do that. What you have to do is you've got to fucking beat them and stop trying to work with them. They don't want to work with Democrats. Nothing that they can possibly do will convince them. I mean, think about how crazy this is. I was thinking about this earlier. There are issues that are now partisan that were never partisan. The children's health insurance program, all of a sudden this year, this became a partisan issue. And Republicans used children and their health insurance as a bargaining chip against Democrats. That's insane. How can you allow a party to use children's health insurance as a bargaining chip and then still work with them? You can't work with these people.
To be fair, though, the Democrats used children as well when they criticized Trump for losing all those immigrant children.
That's true.
It's kind of unfair, right? The kids just disappear all the time.
There's Amber Alerts all the time. I mean,
you can't really put that on Trump.
That's totally normal. Why is that Trump's fault?
I think
that's such a good point. But Billy, what you're saying though, people actually make that point unironically. Is the crazy thing,
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway Well, I think the biggest takeaway from this entire election is that Beto O'Rourke isn't tied up in Texas playing, I don't know, senator. Is that what he's supposed to do?
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be senator, so now he can just run for president and take down Papa Trump. What? He's
I don't
gonna
want him
do
to
it.
run for president.
What? You don't want a punk rock prez?
I mean, why would that be the sole reason why I would want him to be president?
Because it's punk rock.
I think whatever. I don't care that much. You know what? We're gonna get into the DP Action News segment.
Action News. You know,
everyone, please like the stream. Please share it out there. YouTube sucks at notifying people that we're live.
yeah.
So please do that. I don't want to just ask our guests here. I want to ask everyone watching right now if they think this shit was doctored, the whole Jim Acosta thing.
It was, right?
It was
clearly doctor.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. There was somebody that you could put the actual clip side by side with the doctored one, and they sped up the part where his arm is going forward to make it just like, I think Billy alluded to it at the beginning, the Acosta chop or something like that.
The karate chop, and she
Right,
just
exactly.
fucking flew back 20 feet.
Yeah.
Hypothesis. Oh, by the way, guys, Streamlabs is open for the entire duration of the show. Feel free to send them in. If they're $20, we'll read them right away. Otherwise, we'll read them at the end of each segment. And please help us reach our goal so that next week we'll have a bonus stream. We're already doing one this week because we earned it. So, but yeah, I'm gonna play the actual footage first. This is the exchange here.
On one of the statements that you made in the tail end of the campaign. In the midterms.
Here we go.
People are suggesting that Trump.
I've never seen. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've never seen a president like get this way with reporters.
Well, do you think
so
this?
often?
Do you think this is kayfabe here?
No.
You don't think this was all kayfabe? Trump set this up to have a little debacle in the White House to take the heat off of the
Why would a reporter from CNN with actual credibility take part in that?
Well, maybe he didn't. Maybe he
Trump
set the girl
isn't
up to
that
it.
Right though. Trump is not playing 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional chess. He's too stupid. He just functions by instinct like any
this
animal
isn't
would.
chess.
He's not that bright.
This is pro wrestling, and Donald Trump's a Hall of Fame pro wrestler.
He is. That is true.
So I'm not saying.
That's a good point.
I'm not saying he's like King me. I'm saying he's like King of the Ring me.
This caravan was an invasion. As you know,
if he is a wrestling, I mean, hasn't this heel turn gone on long enough? I mean, is this all this?
Some personalities are lifelong heels.
John Cena is loved and hated at the same time. Donald Trump is like an evil John Cena.
The actual reporter does. People in the chat are like, "Oh, CNN credibility." Well, the actual reporter himself does have credibility. And by the way, I'm tired of this shit. Just because it says CNN on it, you guys say it has no credibility at all. Yeah. I fucking. On our midterm election stream, I used this map, and someone was like, "Can't believe you use CNN. Are you using that ironically, or are you just stupid?" It's like it's the same fucking map that everybody else uses. CNN's not going to post a fake election map with fake election results. Everyone would know.
But Republicans hate it because Trump hates it, and if Trump hates it, then Republicans hate it, and so you know immediately when someone bitches about CNN that they're almost certainly a Trump bootlegger.
Obviously, every news outlet has a slant, but not the fucking map. I chose the map because it looked nice.
Everybody's saying CNN isn't credible. Don't you know the C in CNN stands for credibility?
Does it?
No.
As you know, Mr. President, the caravan was not an invasion. It
stands for caravan.
Group of migrants moving up from Central America towards the border with the U.S.
Thank you for telling me that.
Why did you?
He's so condescending. It's unbelievable.
And when's the last time Trump did like a talk to the press like this? Like this is interesting right here. He's usually at the damn airport with the engines revving over his over his voice.
Yeah.
Okay, you in the chat now. You say the results map was fine. Yes, okay. There was an unbelievably stupid human being that thought they were being smart by being like, "Can't believe you use CNN." I just used their map.
I would like to hear them actually explain why they dislike CNN, because I also have my problems with CNN. Like, I think that they have a corporate slant and a pro-establishment bias. But, like, if you ask someone who is a MAGA chud, what are they going to say? Oh, it's fake news. But why is it fake news? What specifically do you not like about it? I'm not a CNN, like, fan. I don't give a shit about Jim Acosta. I think he's the most benign person in the country, you know, aside from Wolf Blitzer. But what matters is reality. And people are trying to spin this as, oh, well, he karate chopped her fucking arm right off. I mean, people, we have to live in the real world. Just because some Trump supporters are delusional doesn't mean we have to entertain their delusions.
True.
Did you characterize
I think he did cut her arm off.
Let's see.
Because I consider it an invasion. You and I have a difference of opinion.
But do you think that you demonized immigrants in
Not
this
at all.
election
No, not
to
at all.
try
I
to
want
keep
them. I want them to come into the country, but they have to come in legally. You know, they have to come in, Jim, through a process. I want it to be a process, and I want people to come in, and we need the people.
Your campaign.
Wait. You know why we need the people, don't you? Because we have hundreds of companies moving in. We need the people.
Your campaign had an ad showing migrants climbing over walls and so on.
That's true.
But
they weren't actors.
They're not going to be doing that.
They weren't actors. Well, no, it's true. Do you think they were actors? They weren't actors.
Do you think they were actors?
I want to get to the fucking
Was it a false flag?
the chop.
Was it a false flag? You think it was actor?
Okay.
I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well,
I don't believe he runs CNN.
your ratings
Let
would
me
be
ask,
much better.
if I may ask one other question, Mr. President. If I may ask
Peter,
one
go
other
ahead.
question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's
Mr.
enough.
President, I was going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
All right. Oh,
There went her arm.
yeah.
Pardon me, ma'am.
Her arm cut
Mr.
clear
President,
off.
That's enough.
Mr. President,
I don't
had
see
one of
her
the
arm
questions
anymore.
about.
You don't see her. She's just disintegrated. She's
May I
gone.
ask on
She's
the
gone. She's knocked out.
investigation, are you
disappeared.
concerned that you may have
I'm not concerned
indictments-
about anything with
that you
the
may have
Russian
indictments coming
investigation because it's a hoax.
Like,
That's
if he
enough.
hit
Put down
this
the mic.
woman,
Mr. President,
if he
are
hit
you
this
worried about
fucking woman
indictments coming
right
down
in
in
front
the-
of
It looks
Donald
like
Trump, why
this-
wouldn't Trump say something like, get your hands off this woman? How could you just attack this woman? Nobody
you.
in the room is like, you just hit that fucking broad. Because he didn't.
Yeah, this part made me laugh because he's like posturing like he's about to do something about it. You see how he's
That's
coming?
what I was saying too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked like.
Yeah.
I want immigrants in the country. They have to go through a process. That's why we're bringing back American
I'll tell you what,
gladiators.
CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them.
Ooh,
you are a rude,
shame.
terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN.
Look at our president shaming that boy.
I think
All right. Here's someone showing basically how it was doctored.
There's been a lot of discussion.
Is there a
around
video
this
of
video.
Obama being that
It shows a
condescending to anybody his
confrontation between
entire
President Donald Trump.
presidential career?
I mean, I'm sure he got irritated at some points.
I don't, but this is like a regular thing for
this
Trump.
is constant.
Yeah, like
This is like petulant level. Like it's just absurd.
You're a very bad
Man-child
person.
level.
You're
Yeah,
very
man.
bad.
That's so right.
Look, right
It
there.
shows a confrontation
shit!
between President Donald Trump and
Destroy.
a CNN reporter
Her
called
too.
Jim Acosta. This was during a press conference that the president was giving following the midterm elections in the United States
Midterm
after the
elections.
Republicans suffered heavy losses in the House of Representatives. Now, after this, the reporter, Jim Acosta, had his press pass revoked. The White House say it was because he assaulted the female intern who was trying to take the
Shouldn't have beat
microphone
that woman
off.
up.
The discussion, though, isn't so much surrounding the incident itself, but more surrounding the contents of the video. Now, this was tweeted out by Sarah Sanders on her official White House Twitter account. Have a watch of it again. Now, as soon as this was posted, theories began circulating online, saying that it had been sped up in some way to make Jim Acosta's arm movement look more dramatic. So we looked into it. Now, to explain this properly, we need to first talk about how video works. And essentially, a video is just loads of still images all in a row together. Think of a flip book. You may have heard the term frame.
I want to get to his
He's talking
point
about
here.
how film works frame by frame.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank God we have a professional film editor here to tell us this was
Film
doctored.
25 frames per second. It's not always the case, though. Mobile phones, for example.
Blah, blah, okay.
49.7 frames a second.
Those nice slow-motion replays. The reason we know this has been edited is all down to the frames. So here on my computer, there are 2 clips. First is the clip from Sarah Sanders' Twitter account. That has been taken directly from her Twitter, and we haven't edited it in any way. Second is the raw footage. This is the same camera, the White House pool camera, as used in the clip on Sarah Sanders' Twitter, and we got this footage from the Associated Press. Now first, I want to play these videos side by side, just so that you can see them.
Holy shit!
Now, the edit
Why do they keep playing this gruesome content over and over again?
It's like a snuff film, basically.
They need to put a trigger warning up before that guy beats the crap out of that woman. And everybody in the audience reacted in kind when he hit her, too. They were like, oh, how could you? Trump was like, keep your hands off that woman.
Somebody tweeted that video to me, and they were like, do you really support this, Mike? Do you support this? And I'm like, or no, they said, is this acceptable to you, Mike? And I'm like, sure.
It isn't.
Like I genuinely don't know where the outrage is. Like it doesn't make sense to me.
It isn't acceptable. That woman should not have grabbed that microphone out of that guy's hand.
Right. Like she was the aggressor. If you really want to point to an aggressor, she was trying to snatch it from his hand.
She's trying to snatch it, and she realized mid-snatch that she's not strong enough to take this microphone.
Hey, he said mid-snatch. This is the mid-snatch alert.
Yeah, welcome to the mid-snatch show.
Yeah.
She realizes she can't budge his microphone. And he's just like, hold up, I want to talk to our president. And she's like trying to pull it away, but he's not wavering at all because he's got man strength. And then she sits down out of having a fuss because she's not strong enough to pull a microphone out of a guy's hand.
Do you notice though, once Trump kind of like stepped away from the podium, that's when he let go of the mic, like when Trump was kind of stepping towards him.
Yeah.
And I speculate, like, I don't know what he was thinking, but in my view, like with the way he was already being aggressive, it looked like he was going to confront Jim Acosta face to face, and that was when Jim Acosta let go because he's probably like, "Oh shit, is the president gonna fucking try to fight me?" Like,
and you can't do shit.
Like, go ahead.
You can't do shit to the president. He has a bunch of armed guards at his beck and call.
They can't kill you if you're just gonna punch him, though, right?
But also, like, if he just assaulted this guy, and the guy did nothing in retaliation, I don't know what they would do. What would they do?
Trump just starts beating the shit out of people knowing he's got gunmen on his hip and you can't hit back? That's the America I want to live in.
They would pull him off, but they would also pull anybody off.
The Secret Service, the Secret
I'll
Service have
beat
to
your
come and
ass
hold.
and pardon myself.
Yeah, does Secret Service have to come in and hold the guy down while Trump punches him in the stomach? Is this some mob tactics?
There was a story from a couple of years ago out of Turkey, and I don't know if you guys know anything about Erdogan and their president. He's basically an authoritarian strongman. So members of his administration kicked members of the press, I believe it was, and one of them kicked them so hard that he actually injured his ankle, and he got put on paid leave for that. Like there was no repercussions. So it's like we're starting to contemplate what would happen if Trump or someone from his administration actually did assault a member from the press, especially looking at just the body language of Trump, the way he stepped out from his podium. Like I don't think he was going to punch Jim Acosta, to be fair to Donald Trump. But I mean, was he maybe planning to get like a foot away from his face? I don't know with Donald Trump. He's a child.
And it reminds me a bit of remember in the debates, I think it was the second debate where he kept like hovering right behind Hillary, like every time she would answer a question.
Yeah.
Remember he was doing that whole that's the whole power move that
is.
He does the long handshakes with leaders.
Right.
Yeah.
Guys,
shoves people out of the way, like at the EU summit or whatever that was. He grabs the president of Macedonia and like pulls him behind him. Like,
I was gonna say though, the president of Turkey had his goons beat up a bunch of protesters in the U.S. too.
Right.
One time.
Right now, Saudi Arabia is getting a lot of shit. But what if that guy put his hands on a woman like Acosta did? Then what?
They would get accosted.
I'm just saying, we don't know the whole story, guys.
Very quickly, and you may not have seen it, so let's take a closer look.
Take a closer
I'm going to
look.
nudge down this timeline here, frame by frame.
I mean,
both
even
videos
in the quick
line up
version, it doesn't look that
albeit
bad.
The one from Sarah Sanders' Twitter is a much lower quality.
Even in the
They stopped
doctored
lining
footage,
up,
it's like,
however, here.
Oh no.
Yeah, all they did was change the speed. There's no like impact. It's not like he hit her. He like moved her, you know?
Well, Bruce Lee, goes with the water, right? Karate chops, you are the flow of the water. So Acosta has the flow of the water. You don't move the water, you move with it. So Acosta just broke her fucking arm, Bruce Lee style.
She's dead.
Well, and part of it is she was trying to grab the microphone away. So as his arm was, or his hand was up, like I'm sure that his whole body reacted. Like to say that he tried to karate chop, and somebody literally tweeted me and they were like, he clearly karate chopped her. I'm like, how are you not seeing this? It's like, I don't know what to say. Like I'm at a loss for words, you know?
I think if he was karate chopping, he wouldn't have his finger in a pointing position. Every karate chop I've ever seen, all 4 fingers are out. Thumb as well. You got the thumb tucked, though. You don't want to break your thumb.
They needed a reason to keep him out of the press briefings because he asks questions they don't want to be asked. And they were looking for a reason to do it rather than we don't like answering your questions.
That's exactly right.
I mean, it's that fucking obvious.
Yeah, 100%.
Bottom is still. Let's have another look.
Oh my God! Why do they keep playing it in slow motion too?
Yeah.
This is violent. The entire crowd erupts like, how dare he? How dare he murder that woman?
Nobody reacted. Look, there's no reaction.
Not even Trump.
There's a
front row
bunch
center.
of people there watching it happen, and no one's like, oh my God.
That's because they're Republicans. They're all used to hitting women. Republicans love to hit women.
Remember that clip from Chappelle's show where he was beating up on Godzilla? Like I posted that GIF on Twitter of him uppercutting Godzilla, and I'm like, actual footage from a different angle confirms Jim Acosta has just assaulted a White House aide. That's how ridiculous it is, I think.
No, I mean, we're still online, but people are saying that this happens to us all the time. Like while we're streaming, YouTube will just like drop our connection and we'll lose a bunch of viewers. It just happens like...
That's weird.
It happened during our election episode. Like, we got up to a certain amount of viewers, and then before you know it, they all just kind of dropped.
Yeah.
And people with autoplay on, they end up getting, like, put onto another feed.
Rude.
Yeah.
I feel like Acosta just chopped the internet connection.
Acosta accosted us.
Yeah.
Acosta chop.
It was him.
Oh? All right. Let's check this out.
Well, as someone that's interacted with the federal judiciary a time or two.
Oh, this is our acting attorney general. This is an old interview that he gave. It's interesting what he says here.
I'll tell you that I have a unique perspective on federal judges. And, while I agree, I want to understand their judicial philosophy and whether they understand natural law and natural rights, and then the founding documents and how they fit together. I don't think that gets us far enough because natural law oftentimes is used from the eye of the beholder, if you will. And what I'd like to see is things like their worldview, what informs them, how have they lived their lives, are they people of faith, do they have a biblical view of justice, which I think is very important because we all know that our government...
Levitical or New Testament? Huh?
I'm a New Testament.
So, I wasn't... I don't know if you're aware of his views or not. A biblical view of justice.
Yeah, natural law. That sounds like a little theocratic to me. But I'm sure I'm just, an SJW snowflake.
Yeah, you're a demonic heathen.
His words.
Demonic heathen
I
cuck.
think this guy, I suspect, well, you know how Trump basically, he'll find somebody that's on the news or that he'll be like, oh, I want that guy. Like he'll appear on Fox News as like some expert. And then like the next week he's in the cabinet, right? That's kind of how it works. So like this guy actually wrote an op-ed. Maybe you were going to get this. Sorry to steal your thunder if you were, but he wrote an op-ed on CNN last year about limiting Mueller's impact and saying that he might just starve the Mueller investigation of any funds, and then that could basically limit it to pretty much nothing, grind it to a halt.
And what a surprise! He's now the Attorney General.
There he is. Amazing.
Yep.
Well, at least he's a good Christian.
And what
man.
I know is as long as they have that worldview, that they'll be a good judge. And if they have a secular worldview where this is all we have here on earth, then I'm going to be very concerned about how they judge.
Wow.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's unconstitutional.
Here's another thing, and this is on Fox News. Judge Napolitano basically says this guy isn't even legally qualified to be the acting attorney general.
That's Neapolitan said that?
Judge Napolitano.
Alert for you. Yesterday, Jeff Sessions essentially was fired. The president asked for his resignation. He tendered it. Judge Napolitano joins us. Judge, what do you think about the new guy?
Okay, I want to make a couple of observations. The resignation letter was undated, which tells me it was signed a while ago. And this is not uncommon. President Lyndon Johnson did this all the time to many of his cabinet members.
He knew it was coming.
Right. I'm going to keep it in a drawer. When it's time for you to go, I'm going to publish the letter. And they decided to publish it yesterday. Is Matt Whitaker professionally qualified, by personal experience, by education, to be the acting attorney general? Absolutely. He's a former federal prosecutor. He ran the attorney general's office. He's been involved in policymaking decisions.
But
is he legally qualified to be the acting attorney general? No. Very precise laws were written by Congress, which the president is sworn to uphold, right after the Watergate debacle. So it would be a very difficult route for the president to pick his own person to run the DOJ.
You're saying that the guy the president has appointed is not qualified?
Is not legally qualified.
What does he need?
What does he need? He's a Republican. What else does he need? I mean, come on.
It's just interesting to hear someone that's been on Fox forever now admit to this, but he does know the law. So
yeah,
I'll tell you.
The president's got lawyers. They looked at that.
There's only 3 ways a person can become acting attorney general.
Okay.
That's is one, if you are the deputy attorney general, Rod Rosenstein. President signs an executive order and makes you acting. 2 is if you are already in the DOJ and have a job that requires Senate confirmation and you have received confirmation. That is not the case with Matt Whitaker because he's the chief of staff. That does not require Senate confirmation. 3 is a recess appointment, which is not relevant here because the Senate is not in recess. So with deference and respect to what the president is trying to do, he has every right to have whoever he wants run the Justice Department. He has chosen someone who does not qualify under the law to be the acting attorney general.
So
of the
he's
United
really
States.
Not the acting attorney general.
Which is why he did not take an oath of office.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
To hear this on Fox and Friends, where Trump is going to see this.
Yeah, because he watches it.
Yeah.
He watches it every day.
Yeah.
Did you hear his deference? He's like, with all due respect to the president, please don't hate me. Like, yeah.
He doesn't want that angry tweet at 3 a.m.
No,
coming
he
his
sure
way.
does. Nobody does.
I don't know if you guys heard, there was a quote from Trump. I think it was like a couple of months ago or maybe a month ago. He was asked whether or not he would fire Jeff Sessions. And he said, I can't comment about that. So I'm paraphrasing. But he said, I do like Matt Whitaker, though. So basically saying, I kind of want to fire Jeff Sessions, but I can't comment on that. But I do like Matt Whitaker. It's like, I wonder why you like Matt Whitaker. So to hear Napolitano say this on Fox and Friends, I haven't seen this clip yet. This is pretty interesting.
No, they said he already took an oath, so he doesn't have to do it again. That's
Judge,
true.
I believe that's a political
Now,
response.
could he go on to become the attorney general?
Very good question, because if he is the acting attorney general, he is disqualified from becoming the attorney general.
But you said he's not really the acting.
Correct. Don't ask me to explain the logic behind this. These laws were written in a spirit of compromise of Republicans versus Democrats after the
which we don't have anymore.
Of President Nixon, and we kept changing FBI directors. If you remember this era, you're too young, and kept changing attorneys general in the Watergate era, and this is what they came up with.
I got to think that a bunch of lawyers looked at this before they went ahead with this and pulled the trigger.
Now Trump's afraid that his lawyers are recording him now, so.
Which they probably are.
Is Giuliani still one of his lawyers?
I don't know.
I believe so.
You don't see him around.
I haven't seen him go to bat for him in quite some time.
It's got to be because Rudy Giuliani has the biggest mouth ever. He keeps putting his foot in his mouth. I don't know if you guys remember back when the Muslim ban was first passed and there were all of these protests at airports. Rudy Giuliani basically made Trump's agenda very clear. He was saying, look, what we said to lawyers and constitutional scholars was this is unconstitutional, so let's make it constitutional. And that's why we're calling it a travel ban now, when it was, effectively the same thing. So yeah, he just has a big mouth. So it would behoove Trump to kind of hide him away, but he's still good for Trump in that he's willing to go to bat for Donald Trump no matter what. And even if that defies reason and the law and whatnot. So yeah, this is really interesting. I'm ready for all of these, everything that's going to happen to just happen already, like a Band-Aid. Like, it's all inevitable. Like, I feel like Donald Trump is going to fire Mueller. I think we all kind of see that. And it's like, I'm sick of watching this unfold. I don't know. It's just draining. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
It is, because it's nerve wracking, because you know that they're close. I'm sure they're close to done. I also heard some reports today that they're making their final report, which I don't know if that's true or not. There were some people also saying that that's not actually true, so I don't know. But so close, and after so much work, like, I don't know what would happen to all of that information and everything that he's got on Trump and on all the rest of the players. What happens to the indictments? What happens to all of that if Trump just says tomorrow you're fired and fires the guy that is investigating him? And is anyone actually going to stand up to him if that happens? I don't know. I mean, I think we're talking about, I think the only way to maybe bring him to heel in that case might be to take to the streets. I don't know, like protests. I don't even know if that's going to be enough.
You think they have a whistleblower plan? They'll leak it to WikiLeaks or something?
Yeah, that's certainly possible. I mean, but the thing is, Mueller is a very, very smart guy. I'm sure that he is aware of the position that he's in. I'm sure he has thought about what might happen. Like, what is my plan if that happens? I'm sure there's a plan. I don't know what his options are, but I'm sure it's something he's thought about. But I hope he's thought about it good and hard at this point, because it might very well happen soon.
Yeah, it's like that part where you're watching a scary movie and the music is playing and there's suspense and you know something is going to jump out and scare you. It's like, just get it the fuck over with. I'm sick of feeling this way, this uneasiness and whatnot. I'm ready to return to normality. I'm ready to talk about policy. I mean, remember the days when politics was about policy?
Yeah, there was a day.
Those were the good old days.
Yeah, there was a day, but that day is not today.
Nope.
That was back when they realized that people don't vote on policy, they vote on emotion, right? So they just play to the emotion of the masses. 85% of people don't understand the policy anyways. They're just going to react to what makes them feel like they're safe or they're respected or they're whatever the emotion of the moment is.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, that's like
fear.
2003, 2004. Yeah, fear, like you said. I mean, yeah. And Billy, you I don't know how well you remember 2003, but this was like what we're talking about now. All the whole Iraq thing. It was completely fear based, like Mike just said. Yep. It was 100%.
And all of the national media was on board with it
because Hans Blix was so convincing.
Anyone who wasn't got fired, like Phil Donahue. He had one of the #1 shows on MSNBC, and he got fired. Jesse Ventura was like they basically fired him and allowed him to disappear and keep his contract as long as he didn't appear anywhere else. It's crazy.
Yeah, because everybody was so sure because the Bush administration and Colin Powell went up there and gave all the evidence that Iraq had WMDs and everything, and then before that all fell apart, everybody was like, hey, this is national security, you can't go against our president, this is crazy. So anytime anybody actually spoke up and said, hey, do we really know what we think we know? Yeah, like you said, Donahue, the rest of them, they were gone.
Yeah. And think about how weird this is. going back to how we operate and how, it's all about the politics of fear. People are not afraid of the actual threats. Like you see in the mainstream media, Donald Trump goes on Fox News, in an interview with Laura Ingraham and talks about the migrant caravan and these starving immigrants from Honduras who are fleeing violence because our country in part is responsible since we tacitly backed 2009 coup, but they're fleeing violence and they're the threat. Meanwhile, there are people literally dying in the country because they don't have health insurance. There's a mass shooting like multiple times per week, but it's the migrants coming from Honduras. They're the actual threat. It's ISIS who is on the other side of the globe who's the threat to you. So it's like if we're going to operate on fear, there at least needs to be a somewhat reasonable and empirical basis for that. But that's not the case. People still vote out of fear, but out of something that's not actually an imminent threat to their lives.
Oh no!
So it doesn't make sense.
Trump said there were people from the Middle East on that caravan. So that's yes. I'm sure terrorists are like walking a couple thousand miles to the United States.
And you think at some point, the people who bought into the migrant caravan fear mongering, like how many people actually thought, okay, I was with you, but then you lost me when you made the ISIS infiltrating the caravan comment. Like anyone was lost at that point. I feel like our brains are fundamentally broken. How do we get people to think reasonably? And it's gone now. Yeah. Now we're literally entertaining whether or not Jim Acosta karate chopped the arm off of a White House aide. It's absurd.
Yeah. Because of freaking InfoWars and Paul Joseph Watson, or
he murdered that woman. Like, if you want to talk about fear, today in California, the mass shooting was the biggest mass shooting on American soil in 12 days.
12 days.
12 days.
Yeah.
It's like the running joke on what was it, The Simpsons, where it's like we have not had a workplace accident in like 0 days, and like that just keeps it every day. That just keeps flipping. Like, it's sad, and it's like it's a little dark, but it's.
I think we let
the state of America.
We let the caravans in. We let everybody in, and they just sit around our schools with guns, and they protect our children from school shooters. I think if they spend a year at like a whole school year protecting the kids. At the end of the school year, they become American citizens. We'll give them like a papaya or something.
You know what's so fucking hilarious? I'm gonna like close the chat after I mention this. I'll keep it open. I'm gonna close it so I can't see it.
Yeah.
Someone said, "These circle jerks are boring. Have some different opinions." Our last fucking show, we had V and we had Dusty and some other people. And all the comments are like, never have V on again. Never have Dusty on again. So I want to let you know, sir, that when I have the majority of people can't stand listening to people they disagree with. So when I have someone from each side on and they discuss their side, all I get are people complaining that they had to listen to someone they don't agree with.
Oh,
it's
Ben,
true.
Ben, don't accost and chop the chat. Chop, no,
chat.
Ben, no, leave chat alone.
Ben, I think you afforded them more politeness than they deserved. Quite honestly, there.
Right. Everyone goes to the internet to reaffirm their own bias. Nobody is actually like these people who cry about free speech and the free marketplace of ideas, like Dave Rubin. Like 9 times out of 10, they're gonna have people from their own side on because we're all like everyone does this. I do this too. We all try to reaffirm our own beliefs. So just admit that you don't actually want to hear differing opinions. You just want your view represented in the discussion, and that's fine. Just be truthful about it.
That's what the YouTube community is now. It's not in the information business; it's in the affirmation business, affirming that your opinion matters and is right.
Also, honestly, I'll try to get 2 people on that disagree, and a lot of times what I get is no, I don't want to talk to that guy. It's basically what I get. So like a lot of times it's easier to get people on that agree with each other. Usually, you know what I mean?
No, and you guys go out of your way to bring on people with differing opinions. So that's probably the most bullshit criticism ever. I mean, you guys have tried to get me to talk to people, and I did what you just said. I'm like, I don't want to talk to that asshole. It's like you guys go out of your way. So that is the most unfair criticism, especially of you guys of all people. So that's just unfounded.
At the end of the day, we just really want to give the alt-right a platform. right?
Well, but it's like, and Billy, it's kind of like when you have, what was it that, yeah, it was Ben that just said something about the marketplace of ideas, right? People are like, well, let's have this great big marketplace of ideas, and then next up we have Gavin McInnes, noted white supremacist. Like, well, he's in the marketplace of ideas too, as if, like, come on, what it's not going to say anything that interesting.
My favorite thing about Gavin McInnes is that the Proud Boys are named after an Aladdin song from the Aladdin movie that got cut from the movie.
Is that true?
The Proud Boys, because there's a song about Aladdin wanting to make his mom proud. I'll make you a proud.
Is this
mom.
like one of those like rumors you hear in middle school?
It's on the
like,
Wikipedia
dude, the
page.
Ultimate Warrior died, and they brought back a fake Ultimate Warrior.
If you go to the Proud Boy wiki, it's on there, dude, and it's because he heard this and he was like, men shouldn't want to make their moms proud. That's gross. We're going to become the Proud Boys because we're proud of ourselves. It's from a fucking Aladdin musical song that didn't even come out in the movie. It came out in this live stage performance. How weird is that? These boys are being so masculine because they're mocking a fucking Disney theme song. It's like me coming out.
Alpha males.
Yeah, I'm going to start.
In 2018, your physical muscle is actually what gets you ahead. Yeah.
I'm going to start to let it go, boys.
Moving on a little bit. So Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she's probably going to have to retire, right?
She's not dead?
No. No. She's not. I mean, she's in the hospital. She actually went home. She broke 3 ribs.
She's 85 years old.
Yeah, she just fell.
I know.
I mean,
But she knows what's at stake. I don't think she's going to retire.
Yeah,
she won't retire.
She's not gonna
well, if
retire.
she dies, Trump's still going to get to appoint another.
But they could. They could get somebody from the Jim Henson Creation Shop to like rig her up as a Muppet.
Look at her.
I'm for that. Yeah.
Yeah, look at her. I mean, she is like, she's
Can
so
I just say, I volunteer to be a blood boy for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Like, whatever we need to do.
Yeah.
Like, this is a fight for our lives. I will donate blood to her.
Like she's going to survive on your soy blood.
Her voice gets a little bit higher all of a sudden, and like.
Yeah, apparently they need, like, I don't know, slip-proof floor grips or something. I don't know.
Make her a fucking mech suit. We got to get her through the next
And this isn't the first time. She's fallen a few years ago and broke some ribs.
We need to make her an Iron Man suit.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, something.
She cannot die.
Iron Man for RBG.
I wonder if people...
She's also had cancer twice.
Yeah, she's against all odds.
She's a ticking time bomb.
Do you think the conservatives are just like, die,
Yes.
die?
Oh, of course they are.
Oh,
Of course
man.
they are.
If you watch the video that I did on Kavanaugh when he was confirmed, there was like a swarm of conservative trolls that fled to that video, and like a lot of comments were like, "We're coming for Ruth Bader Ginsburg seat next, bitch." And I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like they're just fucking. They're not hiding it. It's like they want that seat. And look, Ruth Bader Ginsburg should have retired during Obama's term, but I saw a tweet that really summed it up perfectly. It's almost as if our civil rights and civil liberties shouldn't come down to the health and well-being of an 85-year-old. We should have a different system, where that's not the case. In Canada, I watched the video from David Dole. Shout out to him. He has a radio show in Canada. And the way that they do it is there's a nonpartisan group, essentially, and hopefully I'm explaining this properly, and they give the prime minister choices to choose from, and he gets to choose between like 3 different choices. It's not based on like party lines and whatnot.
I will say... I'm sorry for interrupting, but I will say that there's... I don't believe there's any term limits on their prime minister in Canada. That's so true. Be careful what you wish for.
No. I'm not wishing for that.
Okay.
Although I do like parliamentary systems better, but the no term limit thing definitely is not preferable. But I think that either way, we're heading to this point where we have no choice but to pack the Supreme Court. I can't think of any other thing that we can possibly do. Republicans are playing dirty. They blocked the Supreme Court seat for a year, and they were planning to block it if Hillary, won. So what other choice do we have? They're going to be in control for decades. So I say pack the fucking Supreme Court. add 5 to 8 more justices. There's already some Democrats like Ro Khanna and AOC who are saying we need to do this, and I wholeheartedly agree. I don't want to play dirty like that, but we have no choice. You know, this is the climate is on the line, civil liberties are on the line, and we're putting people, like, a lot of people give me shit for opposing Kavanaugh, and when I say a lot of people, I mean just the chuds that troll my channel, but we were also against him for substantive reasons, because they don't realize this, but in supporting Kavanaugh, they were against their own interests. If you like net neutrality, got bad news for you. He dissented against net neutrality. If you like having your freedom and personal rights, he believes the NSA should be allowed to spy on Americans. He's literally against the Fourth Amendment. It's as clear as day. You know, this warrantless spying on Americans is unconstitutional.
You know what I think then? You know what? Like with Kavanaugh, I think what should have been done is attacking the policies he agrees with rather than digging up.
I agree with you there.
Because you know what? It very well could have been true that he did what he did 30 years ago. It could have been. But here's the thing. I think there was like a local election here where like this guy was running and someone accused him of a rape like 10 plus years ago.
The mayor here like molested a kid.
That's not what I'm talking about. That's real. That is confirmed.
Okay.
I'm talking about a recent election where one of the candidates was accused of like sexual battery from something that was unconfirmed that happened over a decade ago. And I think it's really bad when we're setting that standard that's now a political tactic that you can use on someone you don't like. You can bring up an unconfirmed accusation from over a decade ago to try and get someone out of politics.
How do you confirm it after that long though?
Well, you can't, right?
No one's gonna believe it unless there's video. But then, at that point, what do you do if it actually happened? And then after she brought it up, there were a couple other people, at least one that was very credible, and then like
Deborah Ramirez.
That's the problem.
And so
that's the problem. It's being used solely to influence elections. It's an unfalsifiable accusation, which leaves it open to interpretation for whoever looks at it.
Well, let me disagree with you a little bit, though, Ben, because I think that, yes, there should have been a focus on policy, and there was an overemphasis on this when they had grounds to oppose him on, his judicial record as well. I think that Democrats just thought that was the only way they could defeat Brett Kavanaugh. And maybe it was the case.
Quite honestly,
I didn't think it would for a second. They tried the thing with Clarence Thomas, too. They put Clarence Thomas in front of a bunch of people, too, and brought up every bad thing he had done in his personal life going back,
Yeah, but I mean...
it goes to show you...
Though.
Yeah, exactly. Gorsuch, if Democrats were just using this as a political ploy, they would have used this against Gorsuch, who was the seat that was stolen from Obama. I think, if anything, this shows that if you're in power, you are maybe more inclined, as we're seeing with the Me Too movement, to abuse that power and assault women. So I don't necessarily think that she should have remained silent. I mean, obviously, there was an article that came out today showing that she's still in hiding. She's had to move multiple times. I'm talking about Dr. Christine Blasey Ford.
Yeah. Now,
so you definitely should come out. But in terms of strategy, I do agree with you on that point, that Democrats put all their eggs in this one basket when that wasn't a sure way to defeat Kavanaugh. Now, maybe he would have been a foregone conclusion. There wasn't much that they could do, right? But there were other things they could have done in not participating in the confirmation hearings. They could have refused to meet with Kavanaugh. There could have been other things, and I think that they needed to also have a focus on the record, because the record itself was horrendous. I mean, out of all the right-wing ghouls that Donald Trump would have nominated, I'm not under this delusion that there would have been someone great, but there could have been someone better than Kavanaugh, even if it's just marginally better.
Here's the thing, though. This wasn't an abuse of power Me Too thing. It's my understanding that he was a minor when this happened.
Oh, right, that's true. That's a good point.
So this is totally different, in my opinion. I mean, we're dredging up shit someone did as a minor that we can't even prove, that wasn't reported at the time that it happened.
Well, yeah, as far as an abuse of power stance goes, It's not like he's a college kid, right?
He wasn't even in college.
Well, he was 17 or
he was like in high school. Huh? It was minors drinking at a party.
It's well, if he's a minor drinking, that's against the law.
They were all drinking.
I don't want him making calls on law.
Oh, whatever.
He's obviously unscrupulous. And back to Darth Vader Ginsburg here. If she dies, is there any chance we can replace her with Judge Judy?
Trump's going to replace her with whoever he wants.
Can Trump choose Judge Judy?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
He could technically choose Judge Judy. Yeah.
Oh shit. I wouldn't be mad if he chose Judge Judy. I hope Darth Vader Ginsburg lives throughout this, but if she doesn't, like Judge Judy would be a cool trade.
Can I say something real quick though about the Kavanaugh situation?
Yeah, sure.
I just want to go back to that just because I think you're right about the abuse of power situation with that. That is different. So that is an important note. But in terms of it being unprovable, it's really difficult with things this far, right? But what you can do if you are in that situation is you can call for an FBI investigation, and he wouldn't say that. You know, if you're innocent and someone lobbed these false accusations against you, which is what the right was saying, then like for me personally, I'd be saying investigate, talk to every single person that was there.
Yeah.
But even when we got an investigation, the scope was limited, and then we were told that it was expanded when in actuality that wasn't the case. I mean, Deborah Ramirez gave them more witnesses they didn't talk to. They didn't interview Christine Blasey Ford. They didn't interview Kavanaugh. So I mean, if you're innocent, he wasn't acting like someone who was innocent. But again, I do think that you brought up such a good point, Ben, in saying that you can't just rely on this when it comes to the Supreme Court, because people are going to overlook it on the right. You have to attack them on the substance. Democrats should have done both simultaneously.
I think it's true.
They just didn't know what to do. They just didn't know how to fight him.
I think it's true in government across the board. I mean, what if just to put it on the other side, what if the Democrats, like a year from now, find the perfect candidate and they're just squeaky clean, they're wonderful, everybody loves them, and then all of a sudden someone that can prove that they knew them 30 years ago is like, they raped me. And there's no way to prove it, but there's no way to disprove it either. You don't think that's going to hurt their campaign? Anybody can do it, too.
Look, of course it can hurt their campaign, but you also have to look at it. And Mike, I think, already kind of touched on this. It was his behavior when they actually did talk to him. I mean, you saw the SNL send-up of it, right? And I realize that's not the real...
If the cops ask me, did you kill so-and-so? And I say, I would prefer not to answer that question without... I would prefer to plead the fifth on that question. Does that mean I'm guilty because I'm acting guilty?
So, yeah.
No, that's a constitutional right, isn't it?
Oh,
isn't it?
But that's not what he did.
Ben, there's a difference though between you and Brett Kavanaugh.
Okay,
he is a lifelong legal scholar. You and I, that's different. You would expect someone to be cognizant of these types of things, what the public may perceive him to be guilty or not, and it was pretty clear that he had something to hide. Again, like I said, if you're not guilty, you say, you can look into my entire record. I'll have it all open. And being someone who is a judge, he should know that, but he didn't do that, which is different,
No,
Oh,
he brought freaking calendars from 1982.
Yeah.
To the,
he could have been. He could have. You know what? He could have been hiding something else unrelated to this that he didn't want people to see. Who knows? But
sure,
I don't think that your entire private life should be out in the open to be investigated just because of an accusation without real evidence behind it. That's just how I feel.
What would constitute real evidence from that long ago?
You could still smell it on his fingers.
Why did she wait? Why did she wait until he was about to be a member of the Supreme Court for this to come out?
Not, though, actually, Mitch McConnell was very, very clear that Donald Trump should not pick Kavanaugh, because I think they knew about this, because she actually began to, I think it was back in July, she submitted the letter back when he was being floated, and there were inklings of this being an issue.
But here's the thing.
They still picked him anyway.
And Zonstar just kind of touched on this. How can you prove it? Okay, that's the exact problem I have with this. It's unfalsifiable. You know?
So then she should say. Then she should have said nothing, even though she knew this.
Well,
I mean, there were other people at the party.
yeah. Actually, I think she should have, and not because I'm like, yeah, that's what you get. Keep your mouth shut. All the negative. He's in the Supreme Court anyway, and all she got out of it is all the negativity that's a part of her life now because of it. So yeah, I don't.
Well, look,
I think she should have said something about it when there was evidence that it happened. When there was real evidence that she could have taken to the police, and sure, like whatever. There's different.
It's not that simple though, man. Listen, like I have sexual assault survivors in my family.
Sure.
Never, ever came out. Never told. Like it's not that simple to just be like, oh, I have to go talk to someone immediately. Like there's this feeling of embarrassment.
Oh, I understand.
Dirty.
I understand. I understand. I understand why she didn't do it, but then to try to report it 30 years later, when I understand why people don't do it, and me saying she should have reported it sooner or not reported it 30 years later doesn't take away from my understanding as to why she didn't when it allegedly actually happened. I'm saying it's hard to do it now and be like, you know, hey, this actually did happen. I didn't say anything about it then. Now I'm saying something about it. Now when everything's on the line, I'm going to say something about it. It's
look,
we can't do that.
There's a clear answer to this because this is messy, right?
Right.
So here's what I say. This is what I say to kind of because look, I think you're making points that a lot of people are making who are actually trying to have a conversation about what we do in these instances. And all you can do is you do an investigation and you present the American people with the facts. Odds are, you know, the right's still going to support him and the left is going to reject him. But as long as you put the facts out there, then that's what matters. I mean, look at the situation in Minnesota. Keith Ellison is running for attorney general. There's been 2 former ex-girlfriends who have accused him of domestic abuse. And he's doing what you need to do. And based on how that turns out, then I think that you need to make your decision. He said, FBI, you can look into everything. You can investigate it. You know, his ex-girlfriend is saying, I have a videotape of this. So he's doing what needs to be done in this situation. Now, if he is guilty, if the FBI does conclude, yeah, there's a sufficient amount of evidence to determine that what she's saying is correct, then I think that the left would, in fact, say, because the left is a lot less tribalistic. Look at Al Franken. Look at John Conyers. Do you think the right would do this? You know, so, I mean, I do see what you're saying because these things are difficult to prove, and it really didn't behoove Christine Blasey Ford to come forward. But I think that maybe she thought coming forward would be an example to other sexual assault survivors, which is important. And she didn't even tell her own husband about this. I think it came out in therapy sessions back in 2012 because these are things that are very
It's not a good example though, because look what happened to her. You just mentioned all of the bad shit that's happening to her. I mean, if anything, it's a deterrent.
My only problem.
You may be correct though about that. I know people. If you're a woman who sees this, why would you want to come out? I mean,
you're not going to want to speak up.
Exactly. The person who was very close to me, who I won't mention, who it is, like the first response was from her after seeing this was this basically gave me a relapse of PTSD and whatnot. I don't want to vote. I want to check out of politics. Like this stuff is so difficult, and it's hard for us to understand as men. But this is something that's so painful and embarrassing. Like the questions, like if you go back and you watch the Anita Hill hearings, the questions she were asked were just downright disgusting, and some of these were from Joe Biden even. They asked her really deep personal questions on national television. Who would want to subject themselves to that, you know? So it's tough, and it's a messy situation, and you can't prove beyond a shadow of a doubt because, you know, there's not going to be cameras in every room when these things happen. It's just a matter of getting as much information as you can out there in order to let people make their decision. But I hear you, Ben. It is tough. You know,
yeah, it's tough. He had already. First of all, it's so common, unfortunately, that I think pretty much everyone at least knows someone that it's happened to.
I'm not sure
happened to them directly. And also, the thing is that Kavanaugh had been operating from a position of power for a long time. I mean, why didn't she do something about it when he was just, you know, a local judge? I mean, and this isn't me assuming she's lying. It's me saying this was gone about the wrong way. It didn't benefit her. He still got in, which I knew he was going to. It looked too much to anyone who's skeptical enough. It looked like a political move.
To her, think of it from her perspective.
I disagree with that.
Yeah, so do I, because think of this too. From her perspective, okay, the guy's a local judge. He's not, she's not going to hear his name like when he was when he went to law school later and he went on about his life and became a judge and everything. She's not going to hear about him every day. But now think of her like someone that has sexually assaulted you, and then you're seeing them on TV like all the time being mentioned, and it's just that pressure.
I get it.
It's got to build,
Exactly.
I mean, if he had been, we're gonna move on after this. I'll let you guys say whatever you want in response. But if he had actually been held responsible for it back when the incident happened, he probably would have been treated as a juvenile and given a slap on the wrist anyway, right?
Yeah, and if he denied it, I mean, he did not actually. I mean, he assaulted her, but there would have been no physical evidence. So unless his friend, who was also supposed to be in the room with him, unless he said that he did it, I mean, it was just going to be a he said she said anyway. So I mean, the chances of, unless he admitted it or his friend or his best friend testified against him, even at the time, he was never going to get convicted, especially at that time.
But just because the only witness is his best friend doesn't give more credence to her story.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't get. But it goes to the heart of, well, what would have happened? If she had reported it back then. The answer is, if she had reported it back then, nothing would have happened either. But she felt finally that maybe now is the time to finally confront it. Now that he's going.
I view this as teenagers drinking and doing stupid shit, and there should have been more adult supervision. Apparently.
I mean,
Christine Blasey Ford was not the only one that accused him, especially after her. There was, and then he also denied a whole bunch of things about, like, I mean, come on, who thinks that Devil's Triangle is a freaking drinking game? Come on. Oh my God!
And let me say,
Ben, you got to admit that was ridiculous. I mean, you saw that was
right.
This is, this is just
Ben,
more. Yeah. Go ahead.
Can I ask you? Okay, I wanna pose a hypothetical to you. So if you're in a room with this guy and his friend, and one of those guys punches you in the face, and that never happened, why would you say that guy's friend was in the room with you? Unless it actually happened, because you're setting yourself up for that person who's close to the person who assaulted you to say, no, he never did it. So, I mean, if you are telling the truth, you're going to recall everything in that situation. So if somebody punched you in the face and it actually happened, you have no reason to lie about something like that. Another thing I want to say is why she didn't come out back then. You've got to understand that was socially unacceptable. It wasn't just like you don't talk about these things, but even in families, like, you couldn't talk about these things. Like, the person who was assaulted that I know, their mom wouldn't believe them. That's why they didn't come out, because they thought it literally doesn't matter. So it's only now that we're starting to talk about this, because we're trying to normalize these things so that way women can feel free to talk about it. So it's just that she, not only was it credible, I mean, this isn't a situation where these allegations aren't credible. I do think that Christine Blasey Ford is the most credible witness. It's just a matter of, I do agree that, one, when it comes to strategy, we shouldn't have only focused on this. And two, yes, these things are super difficult to prove, because it does go back to he said, she said. But it's just a matter of, like I said, you've got to get the facts out there, and let people to.
I'm not sure that it's possible to prove at this point. 30 years ago, like that, it's just impossible.
And
that's what makes it a tough situation, because even though I would love for her to get her justice, it's just not possible.
No, and I think she is, aside from all of the harassment and everything else that she's experienced, I think that was all she wanted, was to be heard and say, hey, this guy did all these things. There was also a lot of people that came out and said, hey, Brett Kavanaugh was a blackout drunk. He's telling you that he wasn't, but he totally was. and he's got there are all these letters talking about.
I mean, what does that mean? Does that mean he got drunk and blacked out once? Does it mean he did it all the time?
It just means that he's a liar.
Like,
that's all you're
establishing. It means he's a liar, right? That's what you're establishing, is that he says that he was a straight-laced, academic or whatever, something like that. And the thing is, like, he didn't have to go that route. Like, I would have been much more fine with it if he had said, there were some times when I was drinking, and if anything like that did happen, it absolutely should not have, but I don't recall that any of that ever happened. But he said so many things that were provably false that had nothing to do with Christine Blasey Ford at those hearings, that alone could have been disqualifying, not to mention the judicial temperament part of it, where he was talking about the Clintons being in on this setup of him. I mean, that was one of the most ridiculous things he said. Like, I saw the SNL version of this too, and I thought it was that Matt Damon was
just because people lie about things in general, which everyone lies, doesn't mean they're lying about a specific thing.
Of course it doesn't.
And I'm
but
I mean, they had instances where she either lied or misremembered too about certain things.
Wait, she lied about things
on what specifically though? Because I don't.
Well, I mean, there were things where they were asking her for specifics and she didn't quite remember.
But here's the difference, though. She was honest. She said, I don't remember this.
Right.
Brett Kavanaugh said, no, I wasn't a blackout drunk, when people are confirming, actually, he was a blackout drunk. And again, like, we were all young. We all drink. We're not making a moral judgment based on the character of someone who drinks. That's not what's at issue here. What's issue is about establishing credibility. And in this he said, she said scenario, who has more credibility in this situation? It's not Brett Kavanaugh. I mean, it's Christine Blasey Ford. If you don't remember something and you're truthful about that, that should help your character and whatnot in this situation. Right. So I do think that the right kind of use that as, the left is trying to smear him as this drunk. We don't care if he's a drunk. Like, I like to get drunk once in a while as well. The difference is, am I lying about that? And if I am lying about that, how does that reflect on other things I say that may or may not be untruthful?
Should we have a devil's triangle?
It's a drinking game.
It's a drinking game, right?
Yeah, it's a drinking game. Yeah.
Have you guys ever boofed? That's the first time I heard that word.
What's a boof?
No, I don't know. Yeah, like I heard about that.
Devil's Triangle. It's a game where there's two men and one woman, and that's
sounds like a devil's three-way to me.
I'm just saying, like, get ready for it, because now this is going to happen all the time. It's going to happen.
It's not.
I'm
telling you, it doesn't now.
We've set the precedent where enough people take it seriously.
And that's the part. It's like accusations that are credible, they're going to stand. Accusations that are just fabricated out of thin air, as Jacob Wall will tell you, they're not going to stand, and it could land you in trouble. So, I mean, you don't have a benefit. Like, what benefit does Christina Blasey Ford have, like, to come forward? Everything about this, it hurts her, but she just wants justice. And even if maybe it's the case that, this made her life a lot more tumultuous and just awful, still, I think that it gives her closure in a way that it's out there, just saying it. I mean, for me, like, coming out as gay, just saying it was, in and of itself, it felt liberating, and it was a victory. You can let go of it. So it's just these little things that are difficult for us as third-party viewers. Like, we can't remove ourselves from our own subjectivity, and every single person is going to be different. But for her, this was something that maybe she did because she felt she can set an example for other women, knowing that she was going to be, a sacrifice.
This is already happening. There are already other instances of people bringing up old sexual assault allegations that weren't made around the time that they happened, and now they're being used during elections. It is happening. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm saying it's happening now.
It's always happened, though. It's just that more people feel emboldened to come out now.
Clarence Thompson, right?
Thomas.
Yeah.
Thomas.
Yeah.
Clarence Thomas. It happened in 1993, right? So it's been happening. A boof. That's where you put drugs in your butthole?
Well, I believe it's where you put alcohol in your butthole. Steve-O did this in Jackass 2.
So
I never heard of that, so I guess I'm less cool.
Why did boof come up? Was Kavanaugh boofing?
Yeah, he wrote it in his journal or something, and he said that it was flatulence.
He was farting. He was farting liquor.
He said it. He said it was flatulence. We were 16. Like, oh, and he likes beer, by the way. He does like beer.
You don't want to put beer in your butthole, though, do you?
I mean, that's part of it, but I think it is like if you're gonna put something in your butthole, why would you put beer in your fucking?
That'd be cold.
Like, yeah.
Like all that frothy foam coming out. I don't want that in my butthole.
No, nobody wants Santorum all over the place.
Yeah, can we cut?
Oh man,
why did we?
There.
Why did we waste our time with this poor girl? And when we could have just been like, Kavanaugh puts beer in his butthole, they wouldn't have put him on the Supreme Court then. And like, wait, he's popping little Coors Lights in his butthole. We don't want him making judgments.
All right,
get out of here.
Next story. So I guess this is this is the military. They're like barbed wiring the border now to keep all the Hondurans out.
Imagine like coming home from Iraq or Afghanistan and having to leave your family to put up a fence because the president is trying to scare people. Like, I would be so pissed.
Yeah.
I mean,
used as pawns in a political.
Yeah,
game.
I would be so fucking angry at this. Oh, okay. I have to leave my family to go put up a goddamn fence.
How often do they have to do shit they don't want to do anyways? That's what they signed on for, right?
That's like good. That's a good point. Yeah.
When I have to go to work, I get pissed at my boss because I got to go deliver pizzas or whatever the hell I do. This is their job.
Yeah, you're supposed to be. Yeah, but this is when you're in the military. I mean, there are certain expectations that you're there to do like a serious job. It's kind of like you're trying to think of a good analogy for it. Like you're hired to be like this great actor or something, and
you're a cog in a machine.
And they book you to do stand up at a club that has like a capacity of 50 people or something.
I'm pretty sure the Tom Cruise of soldiers isn't over here putting up the fence, right?
What do you mean, like a little man?
like
the little guy,
the A-list,
the 5'1"
the A-list
guy?
soldiers not over here putting up fences, Like these guys are all grunts. That's their job. They do what they're told. They're not allowed to think. They complain.
Do you mean the soldier that jumps up on the couch?
My guy,
and goes, "I'm in love."
Yeah. I love that guy.
Soldier.
But it's like, yeah.
The Scientologist, that soldier.
Is it corny they're doing this? Sure, but I mean, these guys probably have to go blow up humans sometimes too,
Yeah, maybe this is like a break, actually.
Yeah.
Put up a fence or blow up humans. I think I'll put up a fence.
I think I just go put up the fucking fence. I think I would do what I was told, do my time, and get the hell out of there.
Very upset about this kind of thing. This is exactly the kind of thing that pisses Xenu off.
Yeah.
I was kind of thought about what it would be like to be in Elrond's navy. Sounds pretty interesting.
Sea Org.
Yeah. It's fun.
Elrond had a navy?
He had a navy, yeah. A navy? He had like a navy, like a small navy of ships, and he was the Commodore.
Yes, he was.
Yep.
And
have you guys been seeing those Scientology ads on YouTube lately?
No, not
I've
recently.
Seen them before, not lately, but
Someone must be targeting you.
Back when this channel used to get ads, we used to get a lot of Scientology, a lot of Mormon ads. We'd get like Christian Mingle ads too.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, the whole Sea Org thing. There were a couple people that went on those ships and they disappeared. Never seen from him.
Why is this like guys playing with slinkies?
Wow. We see today how the Church of Scientology, they do full-blown gang stalking on people. So, I mean...
Did you see the Leah Remini documentary about that?
Yeah, and she was so devout. It's funny how, like, when she found out the deepest secrets, she was just like, wow, I've wasted my life. Like, even Saved by the Bell was worth more time than this.
Beck's a Scientologist?
Oh yeah,
is he?
Yeah, he is.
I'm a loser, baby.
Happens with a lot of Hollywood insiders.
Don't you kill me.
I know. Yeah, because that's who they want. Because they want people with money. That's
right.
Yeah, it's all about who has the cash.
I would join Scientology.
It's fascinating to me that you can like become a Scientologist as an adult, or really adopt any religion as an adult, because it makes sense. Like if you're grown up and you're indoctrinated into it, like I get that. But from a psychological standpoint, what makes you want to join Scientology? Something that you come to as an adult. That's something that I kind of want to ask people.
You think it's blackmail?
Yeah,
famous
that's a big
people.
draw. Yeah,
that's okay. That's a good point.
Access to famous people, access to other people who have a ton of money. And the thing is, you hear about these handful of Scientologists that we just talked about that are huge megastars that have hundreds of millions of, who knows, Tom Cruise could be easily worth $1 billion by this time, who knows. But all these other people that are merely millionaires, they'd love to rub elbows with some of these people and kind of be it's almost like being in close proximity with famous people. They get promised all kinds of things. And Leah Remini, I think she talked about that in the documentary. Ben, you said you saw it, right?
I saw parts of it. Wasn't it several different parts?
It was in several parts. I didn't see all of it either, but I did see some of it. And the ways that they coerce them into staying, they'll get dirt on them. They'll have these like sort of counseling sessions, but they'll use the dirt. The audits. They'll use the audits to get dirt on them so that they won't leave, and they'll physically even stop them from leaving because they have quite a sizable security force to make sure that people don't leave that they don't want to leave.
That's why I would join Scientology, because I don't have any like things to hide. I'm a sweet boy. So if I go in there, I can leave whenever I want.
It's not just that.
Bill, you don't have any money. They don't care about you. They don't want you.
They gang stalk you if you leave. They basically ruin your life.
Huh.
But anyway, we're gonna pause for like 1 minute here for a quick word from our sponsors, and we will be right back in just a moment.
One of the highlights of this year's New York Comic Con was the live performance of Star Talk, featuring astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson and theoretical physicist Brian Greene. Those lucky enough to attend were treated to a wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey evening of time travel, quantum states, wormholes, and side-splitting comedy that also featured comic co-host Chuck Nice and James Murray of the Impractical Jokers. Unfortunately, time travel hasn't been invented yet, but fortunately for you, you don't need a time machine to relive the evening. Just listen to this week's episode of Star Talk Radio and you'll be technologically transported into the audience to hear what everyone's been talking about, including Neil deGrasse Tyson's emotional and surprising birthday message to his birthday buddy, NASA. You can listen to Star Talk wherever you listen to podcasts from anywhere in the space-time continuum, and make sure to subscribe. Time Machine sold separately.
All right, we're back. Finally, I saw one positive comment in the chat, and it was like, okay, not a bad sponsor. Because the one time we had Trevor Noah sponsor us, and everyone was like, what? How can you get sponsored by Trevor Noah? He sucks! And I got that for days. So... Neil Tyson, cool, I guess.
Yeah, Neil's a good sponsor. If you're getting sponsored by him, that's badass.
Yeah, I mean, not him directly, but like, he goes through an agency that we go through, and that's kind of how it works. Yeah.
That's still a pretty good get, though.
Yeah.
I'm down for him.
I thought The Daily Show was cool, too, honestly.
Yeah,
so did I. I was like, wow, because that's great. Why? I have no idea why anyone would be upset about that. To be fair, there weren't very many people that were upset. It's just the handful that were upset.
You were on one of those shows, weren't you? One of the ones where we ran.
Was.
Yeah,
I was. It was the first one, in fact. It was 2 months ago, and it was the very first one. And like some of the first comments were like, "Why the hell are you?" Blah, blah, blah. Everybody's get all bent out of shape about it. Like, dudes, why do you even care? There's gonna be ads. Why? What?
Yeah,
that's so fascinating, because I don't like The Daily Show anymore. Like, once Jon Stewart left, it went to shit. But I mean, like, I wouldn't get angry at Trevor Noah. I just think he's kind of boring.
I want to beat up Trevor Noah.
That's fascinating to me. What makes people angry and what makes them tick?
Here's another thing too. Like, if any of them were offered the amount of money that we get offered to read an ad for 30 to 60 seconds, they'd be doing it for half as much. So I read Mein Kampf the other day for $5. I don't give a shit.
I mean,
like, they can go to work for 8 hours and they're not gonna get paid. Well, we got paid for 30 seconds. You know what I'm saying?
Are you on Fiverr, Billy? What kind of weird things can you do?
I know, right?
What kind of weird things can we get you to do?
I should go on Fiverr and just be like, literally anything, $5.
Billy, if you go on Fiverr and make songs, I would definitely do one for my podcast.
I would
badass.
Have Billy do like a dance or something.
That would be so awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I have to join Fiverr. Great, more work for Billy.
I'll be your customer.
Me too. I totally think of something.
Sick.
Yeah. I remember I saw you, Billy, on Boogie's channel for the first time like, a couple years ago, and he played like a clip of your music video, and I'm like, that's like he's going hard. Fuck, this is awesome. Like, I like this.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Billy, if you join Fiverr, we'll pay you to do a Devil's Three-Way.
Yes.
Devil's Triangle.
Look, Mom, I'm finally losing opportunity.
She'll be so proud.
I'll do anything. I was on Battle Camp House.
Yeah. So why is your buddy Joe ducking me?
Andy Dick's actually going to be working for the Billionaire this week.
Is he?
I think tonight he's actually opening up at the Billionaire's hologram studio.
I'd like to get Andy on the show.
I'll reach out. I never know about that.
Maybe we'll throw him a little bit of blow money.
Like, Andy, I hope he's sober right now.
Right.
Well, he only ever works for the Billionaire when he's sober. I think. I never know,
the
man.
Bible?
The Bible? The Ryby? The bigger Ryby?
So here's a question. Is Sessions being gone, is that a good thing for the weed industry?
Well, it's just being gone is a good thing regardless.
Well, he really, it's weird. Like, Sessions was really against weed, and even Trump was more lax, at least with how he talked about it. So I think Trump
was. Yeah, I don't think that was ever a priority for him. If he had told Sessions that it was priority, believe me, Sessions would have been more than happy to take it up. But,
I guarantee you Trump has smoked weed before, and
he's done more. I think he was doing coke during the debates. Like,
well, I mean,
he says he's never drank. So
a rich guy from New York City in the 80s. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah,
right.
If he didn't do coke, it was accidentally. Like, he just walked out of the room at the wrong time.
If anything, Trump realizes there's real money in it, just like John Boehner did.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's right.
Yeah,
but there's real money in imprisoning people over joints.
That's private prison money. That's true. That's a good point.
Forced out. That could be.
And by the way, this is the first time I've ever seen anyone on Fox News. I don't watch a lot of Fox News, so I'm not saying this is the first time. But this is the first time I've ever seen a host on Fox News.
CEO of the premium cannabis brand in California. He says Sessions' resignation builds momentum towards full legalization. Caliva, that's the name of the company. CEO Dennis O'Malley joins us now. You're the top dispensary, I believe, as opposed to the brand of cannabis. Is that correct, sir?
Yeah, we sure do. We are one of the largest vertically integrated cannabis companies in California. That happens to be the largest market of cannabis in the world.
What you want to see, presumably, is for marijuana to be reclassified. No longer a class 1 drug along with heroin and cocaine. It's a class, you want it to be a class 2 drug. How do weed stocks work?
So, it's weird how it works, obviously, because it's still federally illegal.
This is just like, are these strains here, or these are the companies?
Not strains.
Okay.
These are companies.
Okay,
yeah,
banks can finance your
strains can't be patented or anything like
business.
That. So
that's what you're looking towards, I guess.
Well, it's not just us. The latest Gallup poll, 66% of the U.S. consumers are demanding a natural health and wellness option and looking to legalize cannabis. So it's not just Caliva. It is the medical professionals who want to be able to research the medicinal benefits of cannabis to help out cancer, to help out epilepsy, to help people reduce pain and sleep and anxiety, and to do so in a very
they want to reduce sleep,
very natural, non-addictive, non-synthetic way. So it's really a watershed moment for our country that the consumers have spoken, because it's not just pro-cannabis, it's anti-opioids.
Well, I'll tell you what, if Trump goes legal weed,
going to give people free
Beto
weed.
O'Rourke
He's
is
gonna
not
send
even
you
on the
weed.
map right now. You're
What?
making shit up.
What do you mean? He's
I
free
mean
now.
what I said.
He's free now.
Here.
Yeah.
I'm afraid I have to agree with
What?
Ben as well.
It's not like historic. JFK ran for senator, and 2 years later we lost. In the 2
Dude, you
years later
dropped
became,
some of that shit you're pulling out of your ass.
He became
on
the
floor.
president after 2 years. Beto O'Rourke, same thing.
Can I read you guys an Onion headline? I don't know if you saw this about Jeff Sessions, but this shit cracked me up.
Yeah.
Inconsolable Jeff Sessions tries to commit suicide by smoking joint. Is that not perfect?
That is quite
Damn it, I got fired. Time to kill myself.
Just one marijuana can kill you.
Yeah, and all he did was end up ordering Domino's. But yeah. I mean, like, think about the one left issue that would get enough voters on the left to vote for Trump.
Yeah,
That's
the problem
it.
is a significant amount, a significant number. So of those 66%, the other 33% are almost all Trump supporters. So that's still a big.
That's true,
number of
yeah.
Trump support. That's the problem with
The
with him
evangelicals, I don't think, would be down. with
Evangelicals,
he has to
no.
have.
How many evangelicals really voted for Trump, though, with the grab him by the pussy?
All of them,
and-
because
Oh,
the
no,
Reds.
they did.
81%.
Oh,
Was
yeah.
it?
More than with W?
Okay,
They
well
voted
then
for him stronger than with W.
Well, then they're just retards because
Well.
Trump was banging.
Are you sure?
Trump
Yes, of course they are.
Trump was banging porn stars and then paying them
Yes.
hush money and shit
Yes.
like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
Well, that's
Look,
the
they
Christian
just
thing
think
to
that
do.
The politics is better than the religion. They put that aside because I was thinking the same thing. It's like, hang on, the grab him by the pussy guy is the evangelicals dude this time, and they're going for that. Like,
And Mike, I don't know if you, I don't know you well enough to know your backstory in terms of religion. But did you grow up religious?
Very.
Okay, so and I did not, so I had to learn this from religious friends, and because I had asked this question too. But there's this whole, isn't there this? I'm sure you can explain it better than I can. But this whole idea of like a flawed savior, right? About somebody that's not a perfect person, but they're going to do the right thing and stuff like. There's this whole that was explained. You can probably explain it better than I can.
No, I think you pretty much nailed it, and it's the same argument that I heard. Trump isn't perfect. Jesus hung around with prostitutes.
Right.
So it's we'll accept him as long as he accepts that Jesus Christ is the savior. And I mean, you could tell he was just obviously pandering. He was pulling out Bible verses. He was like 2 Corinthians. It's like, okay, you've never picked up a Bible ever. But I mean, it didn't matter at the end of the day, which really was absurd to me. And I think that like a lot of people who were evangelical maybe just sucked it up and vote for him. At least that's just an anecdote. Like my brother is very conservative, and he was a Ted Cruz supporter. And then he sucked it up and voted for Donald Trump because I was trying to pick his brain. I'm like, how? Like, if you're very religious and you think that all of these things, like, banging prostitutes and whatnot is immoral, how can you vote for Donald Trump? And the answer is that when it comes to immorality, Hillary Clinton was just more evil. And in his view, it was, if she were to win, then the nation would be on a lot worse path, when it comes to whether or not we're appeasing God or whatever.
Oh, yeah. So God would be pissed so bad shit happened. I have to ask you now, just because you brought it up. So, like, how did your evangelical family deal with you being gay? Like, how did that play out?
It went really well because I told all the like most accepting people, and then I told my sister, who was very religious, and she had a meltdown. And when I say meltdown, I mean locked herself in like her house. It was real, like, she's doing really well now, so I don't want to spit in her face.
Sure.
And she's improved. But at that point she outed me to every single person, called up old friends, parents. So that was like kind of a little bit traumatizing. But yeah, and then outed me to my brother, who's very religious and, wasn't taking it. But, they surprisingly came around after a few months, and it was kind of like the backhanded way of supporting, like,
I'll pray for you type stuff.
Yeah, I'll pray for you. We're all sinners, you know. People commit murder and bestiality. So if you're homosexual, you're just, you know.
Oh God.
True.
Those backhanded fuck yous. And one of them, what my brother said was kind of his way of like, because I have two brothers. One of them was like, I don't give a shit, obvious, you know. But my other brother was like really heartbroken about it. And he was like, well, look, here's the thing. If anybody tries to mess with you or gay bash you, I'm gonna fucking kick their ass. And I was like, okay, that's your way of like really saying, you know, I'm okay, you know. It's Thanksgiving is awkward, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still, when politics comes up or when religion comes up and whatnot. But, you know, I mean, for the most part, I think that times are changing, and socially, I know that this sounds stupid, and I say this to like my Patreons and live chats, but I think that little things kind of helped move the gay movement forward. Like something as stupid, like, do you remember the show Glee? Like, I think that's because everyone liked Glee, you know, that was like older, and they were like, oh, okay, this gay dad justified it this
Even
way.
before that.
No, but there was some bad press though. Wasn't the one guy like a pedo from Glee? The guy who killed himself?
Puckerman killed himself because he got caught with child porn and stuff.
Yeah.
Pedo.
I don't think he was a gay character though.
Yeah, he wasn't gay.
No.
He was a womanizer, pedophile womanizer, kill you.
I'm just talking about the show Glee in general. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I shouldn't have brought up Glee because that shit is
Nah, Glee's great.
It sounds so stupid, but I really feel like it made, at least this is just in my own social circles, like I feel like it made like a big difference. Like people would bring it up like, oh, that's cool, I watched Glee, they have a gay guy on that. Like
but
I worked at Blockbuster, and this is what customers would say. Like I don't approve of homosexuality, but that gay kid can sing. I'm like, okay. I mean, you know,
that's what they said about Freddie Mercury.
Rock Hudson.
Yeah,
right.
That's true, right.
And David
I saw
Bowie.
Bohemian Rhapsody last weekend.
I gotta see that.
It's actually good. I really enjoyed it.
I didn't see that. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, I was worried it wasn't going to be good, but everybody's saying it was pretty good. I was on board when it was Sacha Baron Cohen.
I'm very cautious.
Freddie Mercury.
He would have made a mockery of it.
I wanted to see that.
Yeah.
I wanted to see his version.
I'm not gonna lie, I would watch it more quickly and not wait for the rental if it was Sacha Baron Cohen.
See, my thing is like Queen isn't even my favorite band or anything, but I think he's one of the better singers of any rock band ever.
Yeah.
He's among like the top.
I think
10.
scientists
his octave range.
Yeah.
I saw this YouTube video like describing like how incredibly rare it is for someone to have that musical range, and it gave me a new appreciation for like, wow, that guy really was an incredible talent.
Yes.
I didn't realize. Yeah.
Scientists broke down like what the best rock band ever was, and it was Queen, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, like, music is subjective.
But they scientifically broke it down based on like the audio and the sales and everything. It was like a mathematical equation.
I don't agree with that.
Okay, well, I mean, it was scientific. Look at Ben over here denying the fucking the Earth is flat.
Art is not scientific,
but it can be. If there's numbers with all of this,
well, it's
mathematical.
Yes, music especially.
Yeah, you could break it down. And they broke it down scientifically.
Does that mean all rap music is shit?
No, that means all rap music is great
because we have Mozart up here.
Haven't you seen those memes where they take Kanye lyrics and put them next to Beatle lyrics, and the Beatle lyrics look so weak because they're sung out slowly, and Kanye's lyrics are so intricate because they're rapped out?
No.
It's a meme. They're like,
I'm not even a Beatles
fan.
I've
seen this meme.
Yeah, it's hilarious because it's just like
I've seen the Beyonce and the Freddie Mercury one with the single ladies, and it just has repeats the same line and then his intricate lyrics. But then people will switch it and show oh well, Beyonce actually has more substance.
Well, yeah, it's a meme.
It's a meme,
and it sucks. And it sucks because Freddie Mercury. I mean, he died of AIDS. Like literally, if he had gotten it like 6 to 12 months later than he did, he probably still would be alive today.
He's singing with Magic Johnson.
This is like
Magic Johnson.
I mean,
he was the first one.
This just perpetuated the belief that if you're gay, that AIDS is just like a gay disease because he was one of the
right.
And he wasn't even totally gay; he was bi.
Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think as far as Donald Trump, going back to Donald Trump being the Republican or the evangelical choice for presidency, it all comes down to if you don't sin, then Jesus died for nothing. So
it's true. Oh my God!
Yes, but everybody
that should be lost. That should be like in neon lights above like Las Vegas Boulevard when you like drive in. Welcome to Vegas. Jesus didn't die for nothing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Elliot Van Y in chat says, Big Bill is my gay disease. Shout out to you, Elliot.
I think we're going to read through these Streamlabs and Super Chats really quick, and then we're going to move on to the next segment. Let's see what we've got here. Death Wish Cassidy, $2. Are you dudes still going to do a wrestling podcast? Maybe, and actually, I've been invited on Asterios's wrestling podcast that he's doing now, so I might start doing that with him. And you can come too.
I don't know. I don't really watch wrestling. It's for weirdos.
Even this has come from a dude who was a wrestler. K donated $1. Break the 420 curse. Oh yeah. You gave us $1 to get us
to 421.
Yeah. Twilight City Studios $5. Is he going to give us an Adobe Premiere tutorial since he has that on his computer? Oh, he's talking about the guy earlier that was breaking down the Acosta chop thing. Hypothesis $5. If you're worried about President Trump being president for life, don't worry. Further WWE star Wade Barrett will take over the world. Former WWE. Yeah, no. That's not happening.
You don't think so?
$2 from the Crazy Vincent. CNN sucks. Okay. That doesn't mean their map is wrong.
Got him.
Hypothesis, $5. To be honest, I'm fine with the caravan coming in, but only if they go straight to Canada. Well, I'll tell you what. I grew up in Ohio, and in my lifetime, we took in refugees from the former Yugoslavia. There are tons of Serbs, tons of Croatians, tons of Bosnians living in Ohio. And then after that, when they had like the Somali crisis, there are a ton of Somalis that live in Ohio too. Ohio's fine. The fabric of society is not breaking down. They gave opportunities to people. Who the fuck do you think is driving your Ubers in Ohio? Most of them. So whatever, get over it.
We'll be okay if we let them in. I think we're gonna be fine. At least hear them out. At least hear them out.
People are very scary, to be fair.
Yeah.
Serbs, are white, so they get let in easily.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Do you remember what happened when was it the Prime Minister of Norway had come to the U.S. and Trump said something like, "Why don't more people from Norway come immigrate to the United States?"
Oh, I remember that.
Because it's nice there.
Yeah. What's funny is they always say, "Oh, I'm in favor of legal immigration." Well, it's part of U.S. law that you can actually apply for asylum at a legal port of entry, which is where Honduran migrants are probably going to go. But he's trying to block them from doing that. So it's not like, oh, you're in favor of legal immigration. You can't hide behind that anymore because you're not. You're proving it's demonstrably false now.
Yeah, and he's like, well, why aren't more people from Norway coming here? I'm like, dude, you've never been in Norway. Obviously, Norway's actually great.
They don't want to leave.
Beautiful country. Why would you want to leave? It's
Mr. Six Figs in the Patreon. This is my Patreon chat down here where all the cancer is coming from. Someone said if it works for the Ohio, it works for America. Well, here's the thing. Seriously, the actual peace treaty between the Serbs and the Croatians was signed in Ohio. It's called like the Dayton Accord because it was signed in Dayton, Ohio. And because of that, yes, they let refugees from the war from both sides move there. So, yeah, it worked. And, yeah, it's fine. It's kind of cool having more Slavs around. I don't know.
Yeah, and let me just say to the people who are against it, let me ask you this. What poses a greater threat to your life? These migrants or you losing your health insurance if you lose your job? Like, there are other policy issues that you're allowing Trump and Republicans to distract you from. Conveniently so. These are wedge issues that they tried to galvanize their base. Like, don't fall for it. Don't let them dupe you. There are real issues that actually need to be addressed, that actually pose a real threat to you. So just don't let them dupe you. These migrants, they don't pose a threat to your life. They're leaving violence because Honduras turned into a really violent country when we decided to tacitly back a coup in 2009. You know,
but don't listen to the liberals either. Don't listen to liberals either. They want you to give your jobs to the Martinez twins. They don't
I think
care
a lot
about
of people
you.
don't realize that a lot of the political messes around the world exist because of our political meddling. And then we complain about Russia meddling, but we meddle a lot too.
Of course.
I mean, like,
but it's different.
No,
they're
it's not.
Russian.
I mean, like, in the Gulf War and the Iraq War, we were literally getting killed by weapons that we sold to Iraq.
That's such
at one
a good point.
Yeah.
I mean,
such a good point.
Yeah, that picture of Rummy, you know, shaking hands with Saddam after making his
during the Reagan
deal.
administration.
Yeah, we were the ones that basically gave the tacit green light to Saddam to attack Iran because Iran was our
enemy.
at the
And we
time.
did the
Right
same thing.
after
We gave
the
weapons
yeah.
to Afghanistan.
Yeah,
these
same
like
thing.
Muslim tribes in Afghanistan to fight the Russians. And then we ended
Mm-hmm.
up assuming the role of the Russians after they were like, let's get out of here. Next thing you know, we take the Russians' place.
Yeah.
In Afghanistan. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have the owner of Dusty the Cockatiel, who's kind of like the mascot of Drunken Peasants. And he's asking, can the Humanist Report tell Dusty the Cockatiel he's a beautiful bird? And this is real. It is a bird. It's not something.
It's a real bird.
It's not a euphemism.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
something
Just
weird.
say Dusty.
Okay, I was gonna say it.
The cock. Yeah,
Define bird.
Yeah.
Yes. Dusty the Cockatiel is a very beautiful bird.
Wonderful. Hypothesis for the record: Christine Blas Ford is now the only accuser of Kavanaugh not to back away from her claim.
That's not true. I heard other conservatives saying that too. Ramirez never backed away from the claim either. There was another woman that was some nutty woman that I had never even heard of before that some conservative friend of a friend of mine brought up, and I looked her up and I hadn't even heard of her until like last week. So I don't know who that is, but Deborah Ramirez never took back her story either. That's ridiculous. That's just a conservative talking point that's been floating around InfoWars, etc.
Yeah.
Blunt Goblin, $2. Much love, Billy. You think Deranged would come on?
He might. I'm gonna meet up with him Saturday.
Oh, okay. I don't even know who that is. Yes, Deranged. Come on the show. Barry Compton, $2. All she got was the bad and... Hold on. All she got was the bad and a couple $100,000. I don't know what that... I think they're talking about the...
All she got was the bad
Kavanaugh.
reputation and
Yeah.
a couple $100,000. Did she get a couple $100,000? They paid her to come out.
I
and
mean,
talk?
that's an accusation.
No.
That's a baseless
That's a
accusation.
conspiracy theory. That's
it's
not
another
founded in reality.
Yeah, I don't believe that either. I need evidence for either way that I believe.
To be
And
fair-
I'm not saying she got paid. I'm just saying there's no evidence that...
There is a history of politicians paying these women. Stormy Daniels got
I don't
like
even want to get into this
$140,000.
again. Stormy
Daniels.
I mean, I'll
Stormy
also
Daniels is
tell
going to
you,
be in Seattle this weekend, I think.
Really?
I think it's this weekend.
I guarantee you she won't get arrested like she did in Ohio. Did
No,
you
I
guys
heard
hear
about
about that
that.
bullshit?
Yeah.
Yep.
It was in
I
a
heard about
strip
that.
club that okay, first of all, they arrested her on the grounds that technically in Ohio in a strip club, the stripper can't touch the men. I'll tell you, I mean, like, that's what a strip club is.
I got my first lap dance in Ohio that I paid for.
A strip club in Ohio is, I mean, anywhere. They can touch you, you can't touch them.
Yeah.
Yeah, the laws though for strip clubs are incredibly different depending on what state you're in. So here's the thing: I live in Northern Virginia.
They don't
so
enforce that law
the
in
suburbs
Ohio,
of
though.
DC. That's true. That's true. There's a lot of places that won't necessarily enforce it. But what's great is that so Virginia's laws on strip clubs are a lot more strict than West Virginia's laws on strip clubs. So there's a whole bunch of strip clubs right over the border of Virginia into West Virginia.
Well, I
where they're
guarantee you,
basically- yeah.
I guarantee you that there's a whole lot more teeth in the population of Virginia than in West Virginia too.
That is possible. However, I suspect that a lot of the actual dancers there are also from Virginia, not from West Virginia. But I haven't asked them. Last time I was there was for a bachelor party several years ago. Next time I go, I'll have to let you know if that's changed.
Have you guys? We're kind of like going towards this topic, so I have to ask: have you guys heard of the story of the dead pimp winning a seat?
Oh
in
yeah,
the
Dennis
Nevada
Hoff
legislature?
from the Mustang Ranch.
I think so. Yeah, he had like an HBO show or something.
Yeah, it might not have been the Mustang Ranch, but it was Dennis Hoff.
Dennis Hoff.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of his name.
Yeah,
Dead Dennis, the dead pimp.
Yeah, that district is like PVI R+30. If you know what that means, that's like basically the reddest of the possible red districts. It's just it doesn't matter. You can be dead, you can be brain dead, you can be whatever you want to be, and you're gonna get elected as a Republican.
By the way, I do want to point out West Virginia is technically the state where residents are most likely to be missing at least one tooth, and it's number one in obesity in America too.
Really?
Yes, it is. It surpassed Mississippi. I grew up in Ohio. West Virginia is like the black hole of like Ohio Tucky is bad enough. West Virginia, Ohio border, the worst.
I'd say.
Well, it's like
yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
Well, back to Dennis Hoff, the dead pimp, getting elected in Nevada.
Nevada?
Nevada.
Oh, was he the owner of the Bunny Ranch?
Yeah.
Oh, he's dead?
He died. He died a couple weeks ago, right? Wasn't it his birthday party or something?
He died like a few weeks. He died a few weeks ago.
And Flavor
it was too late
Flav
to replace him on the ballot.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it's bullshit. He was the only one allowed to operate a brothel in the whole state.
Bullshit.
No, he was.
He wasn't. There were others.
Oh,
There's
no,
tons
really?
of brothels in
But
Nevada.
I thought he owned them all.
Well, he might have owned a lot of them, but there's a ton of like independent weirdo fucking brothels you can just hop into on the. Have you ever driven through Nevada?
No.
It's like if you ever drive through like if you ever drive through an area where they have like legal fireworks stands, the further away you get from the city, the more the fireworks are like look like they're gonna blow your hands off. That's the same thing in Nevada with brothels. The further away you get from the city, the more likely you're gonna get your hands blown off by one of them women. It's amazing.
Well, it has to be in a county with fewer than 100,000 people in order to have a brothel.
Yeah.
As I understand it, and so that's why there aren't actually any in Las Vegas.
Not in Vegas or Reno.
Also, I heard that there was a county that actually just surpassed 100,000 residents like several years ago, and they made some exceptions so they could still have brothels. But yeah, it's a function of population, so that's why they don't have brothels in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I saw a whole bunch of ladies get arrested at around the bar at the Venetian one night.
Yeah.
I had some.
Really? They're always tooting around.
Yeah. Like when you have a lady dressed like she's about to go to prom, basically, and she's really interested in talking to you for no fucking reason. Like you didn't even show her any attention at all, and she's like really trying to talk to you. That's a hooker.
To be fair,
Are you sure?
To be fair, Ben, you're a very attractive man.
Well, thank you.
That's why they're coming up to
The
you.
last time I was in Vegas, this woman that was dressed like she was going to prom started talking to me a lot at a bar, like way more. I showed no interest in her. You know what I mean?
And what was she say? What was her approach? What was
her like just small talk at first. And then I was kind of like, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you," kind of thing. And she kept digging, and I'm like, "What does she want? She's trying to sell me something." And then she was like, "Are you staying at this hotel?" And I'm like,
maybe she needed a prom date.
Like I could understand.
What if she was a fan of DP?
No, because she didn't say anything about that. But also, like, I could understand if we were like having a conversation and there was like some flirting going on, and then she was like, "Hey, you staying at this hotel?" But there was none of that. There was nothing like that. It was just like she's talking to me, I'm being polite, and then she's like, "Hey." And I'm like, "Oh, this is a hooker." And then before you know it, her friends are like getting arrested, and she like gets up really fast and tries to like get away, but she got arrested too.
I always made hooker friends,
which I don't agree with. I think it should be legal everywhere.
Of course.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. Was
It's
she
safer.
hot at least? I
mean, she wasn't bad. Yeah. I thought it was weird that someone I showed no interest in whatsoever that was attractive and dressed very nice with all their makeup and hair done and nice outfit. was showing attention to me for no reason.
Happens
If I
to me
would
all
have
the
been like,
time.
no, I mean, like if I
I'm a
would have
Chad.
even been like looking at her and smiling at her, then like I would have bought into it. But I was like literally like whatever. Like I was sitting there with a drink doing whatever.
It's because you're not a Chad, Ben. This stuff happens to us all the time.
Chad.
Women just come
We're
up
gonna
to
have
us
another
and throw
lifting
themselves.
contest?
What do you mean lifting? Lifting girls up at the bar? I'll win.
No, lifting weights, real weights, my dude.
I don't need to lift weights to prove anything.
Oh.
The only way I need to lift is the body weight of one of these fine women that keeps throwing themselves at me everywhere I go. They probably saw that you were friends with me, so she was like, maybe I can get to Billy through Ben. She wasn't a prostitute. She was a.
This was way before Billy was even in the picture.
She was a social climber.
This was the last time I was in Vegas, which was a while ago.
She wanted a little bit of the fridge.
Good
Ben.
theory, though. Good theory, Billy. Good
Oh,
theory.
this is how all of his reasoning works. Anyway,
I don't know what you're
let's
talking
do
about.
it.
Oh, God. Oh, crazy people. Oh.
All right.
Boom, boom.
Get ready, guys, because it gets worse. Like, here's the first one. Oh my God, it's Vorn Helton.
Thank God for this
Again?
Fiverr
Are you guys
intro.
familiar with Vorn Helton?
He was
I
the
am
same,
not.
He was the same one that was on last time I was on.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's the new Brett, basically. Oh, by the way, I'm giving everyone 30 seconds to switch to full screen because this video was meant to be viewed in full screen, says Von Helton.
Better full screen. You know I do.
Oh, the FBI.
Wow.
Wow,
This is
he got-
legit.
Look
got
at
that from
him.
a VHS tape.
I
By
love
the
his
way-
Hershey shirt. I want one.
By the way, I criticized his camera angle for weeks, and lo and behold, he's using a different camera angle now.
He listens.
You can't see into his bathroom. You can't see the dirty plate of food next to him. You can just see his beautiful toothless face.
His almost fully paid for Encyclopedia Dramatica collection in the background.
Yeah, he got Encyclopedia Dramatica printed up into a volume of. No,
House press conference. And no, it's not Trump. So don't get excited, you
Don't
Trump
get
haters.
excited.
All right, no, it wasn't Trump.
I wonder if he's got more.
If
He's got more Hershey shirts or
So,
Hershey squirts.
By the way, this is Von Helton's video where he claims the Acosta thing to the woman is assault and battery.
Thank
And,
God. We need a man standing up for women.
It's pretty serious. Pretty serious.
His last video was about how Democrats taking the House means we're going to pay higher taxes, which means he has zero understanding of how the government
no idea
works.
how government works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Without further ado,
this is the thing Von Helton came up with looking in the mirror. You know, he was wearing a towel after he got out of the shower, just looking into the mirror, and he was like, let's get started. No. Let's get into it. Yeah. I got it. So this is his let's get into it.
God damn it, pal.
let's get into it.
Yeah.
Oh! Whoa! Another intro? The production on this video is insane.
I had to speed it up just to get through it because he talks so slow.
Alrighty, folks. One
Alright, everybody.
Is a clip of
Speedy Gonzalez.
assault. It says right here, activist masquerading as journalist assaults intern. I believe it's assault. Many other people believe it's assault.
You also believe in fucking witchcraft, you old weirdo.
James Woods? Really? That's your source? James fucking Woods. Why don't you use Gary Busey as your source while you're at it?
Well, Gary Busey was the third point in the Devil's Triangle between James Woods and Von Helton.
Well, who else would be?
That poor girl.
Oh
Look at
my
her.
God.
Look at her just get murdered
Karate
there.
chop.
Okay, now
I do love how the karate chop in edit looks like it might have done something to her. Like maybe, like with nobody else reacting to any sort of assault in the room. It's just so weird. That jump,
Yeah, right.
that jump cut is supposed to make us think that she just got murdered. So cute.
She's fine.
She is fine.
She didn't even cry out or anything.
They're 5 feet away from the president, and he didn't say anything about the guy fucking hitting her.
If she would have been like, ow, or something, everyone would have been like, oh, what's wrong? She didn't say shit.
If he hit her, Trump was right there. Trump would have said something.
Oh,
Trump's
Trump
never
was
held his
physically
words back.
posturing, though.
Because the guy was giving the microphone
just
away.
Think about how a couple of weeks ago Donald Trump was making fun of the journalist who Greg Gianforte had body slammed, but that's acceptable apparently. But if you karate chop someone,
But this is why.
Totally unacceptable.
This is why I agree with Trump. If you body slam somebody like Lex Luger did to Yokozuna, that's American. If you karate chop somebody
on the aircraft carrier.
Yeah, karate chops are not American. Okay.
Yeah, that's
everybody
Japanese
knows
shit.
Yeah, everybody knows karate
And I'm
chops.
pretty sure we're still at war with them.
Yeah.
So
On one
this is
side,
the
you
Red
have people
Scare,
saying, well,
man.
she was trying to grab the mic away from him. Yeah, but that's her job. She has control of the mic.
Okay, well, if her job is to physically grab mics from people, maybe she should be like a 6'3", 300-pound dude instead.
Or why didn't the sound man cut this guy's fucking microphone?
Someone's running the board. I can cut Billy's mic right now. Oh shit! Doesn't take a big dude to do it. Oh no. Okay.
On
All
Ben.
right, there we go.
Not Jim Acosta. It is her job to take the mic away from him and give it to someone else. He had no right, no right, to come down hard. He come down hard on her arm.
Hard?
So much so that it bent her arm.
Oh!
Guys,
Dear God.
her arm.
Arms are supposed to bend at the elbow.
This is what happened
Look
to
at my arm. It's bent right here.
This is what happened to Colonel Sanders after he sold the Kentucky Fried Chicken franchise. His life just went to shit.
After he ate the Kentucky Fried Chicken franchise.
Started getting Alzheimer's, apparently.
Yeah.
Watch it again.
Von Helden's not Colonel Sanders. He's the kernel of corn that remains in your
He come
shit
down
after you
hard on
take a
her arm
dump.
enough to where that it bent her.
He did not cut. Dude, there would have been like a range of motion and a strike.
I mean, look at...
okay, a punch, if you're going to punch someone and you lay your hand up against their face and then push it, isn't going to do shit as opposed to you striking.
Let's do the math right here, now. Okay. Acosta's holding that microphone, all right, with his right hand, all right. That's his dominant hand, we'll assume. She's yanking the microphone like it's a fucking dick, and she's trying to milk that motherfucker for the dollar of the day so she can move on to the next one in the brothel that Dennis Hoff just died inside of. She's yanking as hard as she can, and Acosta's not even moving, okay? So that's his man strength versus her woman strength. So with his other hand, if he's going to karate chop her, it should cut her fucking arm off. If he can hold that microphone with one hand and she's not able to even budge his fucking arm, then when he karate chops her, she should break into like 2 equal pieces. It should be the wisdom of Solomon on that fucking arm.
There's no question. There's no question that that's assault.
There's no question. There's no question.
No
And,
question.
let me see here. Let me pull this up. Give me just a second here. I gotta pull something up here real quick.
Oh my God, Billy, that's so sexist. No, it's fact. That man had man strength. She couldn't even
Now
pull
look
the
here.
microphone and make it budge.
According to Deep Stater here, Deep Stater says that, no, sir, new rules say no touch and no violence. He touched her violently like there was no yesterday.
Like there was no yesterday.
Clear as day.
There's no yesterday.
He touched her violently.
Obviously, that's, obviously that is assault. And see,
She touched him first, by the
why
way.
people get mad. Everybody, well, why do normal everyday people get mad? Because there's a double standard. There is a double standard for people in the Beltway and people outside the Beltway. If I had accosted, no pun intended, this woman like he did, I'd be in jail right now. I would be escorted by the police out of that room downtown to at least for questioning. At least for questioning. That didn't even happen. He was not escorted. He should have been immediately accosted by the police and escorted out of that building. If any normal American had done that to that woman, they would be in jail right now, or at the very least have been taken downtown for questioning. That's
if the woman was hurt, she would have shown signs of being hurt.
I wonder how long till Von Helton swoops in on her like a wounded gazelle
And by the way,
starts singing her love songs.
I don't want to rehash this too much, but this is who I'm talking about. Senator Joe Fain. He's a state senator, and he is now being accused of raping a woman in 2007. And he was up for local re-election.
How dare he?
And, from what I've looked into the Keith Ellison thing, that's, that seems bullshit to me too. I think people are just trying to get the only, the first ever elected Muslim in the U.S. government, right? Isn't that true?
No. What about Obama?
I don't know. He was the only one at the time.
Yeah, he was I believe he was.
I think he might have been
he
the
was
first.
the only one at the time, but now there's at least two, because two Muslim women were actually.
I think he was the first ever democratically elected
Yeah.
Muslim of like the federal government, congressman,
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway, it's being used against Democrats now. There's like a big story
It's
about
being, but the thing is, there are, of course, it could always be used. It can be weaponized in a bad way.
It will be now.
There's no way you can stop it from that happening.
No,
but
setting a precedent where it's taken seriously enough sets it to where it's going to be. It will be weaponized now, and
Well,
don't
look,
be
if it's
and
the
don't be
case that it is
surprised
used
when it
against
happens to your
Democrats-
golden boy. Don't be surprised when it happens to the next candidate for the Democratic presidential seat. I mean,
But
like
if
it's
that's
BS,
the
it'll fall
case,
apart.
yeah, I'm sorry, but if I was supporting someone and there were legitimate claims that person had raped someone,
but the
sorry,
term
I don't think
legitimate
that
is
someone should-
subjective. And
but that's not always the case. I don't agree. There are times where it's credible or there's a gray area. It's just these are messy things. But I mean, like that article that you brought up. I mean, if that person did in fact rape someone in 2007, yeah, I don't think he should be elected. That's
I agree,
you're a
but
criminal if you rape someone.
But it's
so
impossible to prove beyond reasonable doubt now.
Ben, nobody's saying.
And then you're convicted by the court of public opinion, which is
but
ridiculous.
Nobody is saying automatically believe them. They're
Right. It's just a matter of
not
present
nobody.
evidence, look
I
into it,
disagree.
investigate.
I disagree, Eric. People are saying you should just believe it. I mean, you know this.
There are people saying that, but that doesn't mean we do it. Yeah.
There are some people.
I'm not saying most people are saying it. No.
Because there are
But
some
they're
people that are
just believe
saying
it without evidence, though.
there are some people that are saying that, but some people are also
Yes,
saying
absolutely.
we won't believe you because you all fucking lie. The other side's saying it's all bullshit, even though 49 out of 50 allegations are actually real. It's 1 out of 50 allegations that are false.
People were gunning for Keith Ellison. Do you remember the old Keith Ellison Glenn Beck interview where Glenn Beck interviewed Keith Ellison? Oh my God, let me find it.
I think I know what you get. The hashtag believe all women thing. I know what you guys are talking about now.
No. Well, yeah.
I don't know anyone who's actually like personally who said that, but yeah, of course, I think that anyone who I've talked to and myself personally, we're saying be nuanced, right? Present evidence, but just don't automatically dismiss, someone as, oh, this is someone running for election, so it must be a political hit job. We have to take each issue case by case and look at the credentials. It's just a matter of just trying to get to as close to the truth as we possibly can.
And you have to be careful and mindful because there's boy who cried wolf syndrome. I mean, like, there's that too. Even if you're telling the truth, people, if there's enough lies, not even by you, but by others.
But it's also it comes down to
it can cause it to stop being taken as seriously as it needs to.
And that's why we're saying listen to women when they speak up.
And that's why people get upset. Myself in particular. This is upsetting to me because
I want to play this really quick because fuck whatever.
Look, Von Helton is a savior of women. Okay?
This is something that happened to Keith Ellison shortly after he was elected. He was on a show with Glenn Beck. And listen to how he was treated.
History was made last Tuesday when Democrat Keith Ellison got elected to Congress representing the great state of Minnesota. Well, not really unusual that Minnesota would elect a Democrat. What is noteworthy is that Keith is the first Muslim in history to be elected to the House of Representatives. He joins us now. Congratulations, sir.
How you doing, Glenn? Glad to be here.
Thank you. I will tell you, may we have 5 minutes here where we're just politically incorrect and I play the cards face up on the table?
Go there.
Okay.
He did invite him to go there, so there you go.
No offense, and I know Muslims. I like Muslims. I've been to mosques.
I have a
really
Muslim
don't
friend.
believe that.
Thank
Islam
God he
is
said
a
that to
religion
start it off.
of-
And you can tell this is before Glenn Beck got really rich because he's still thin here too.
evil. I think it's being hijacked, quite frankly. With that being said, you are a Democrat. You are saying, let's cut and run. And I have to tell you, I have been nervous about this interview with you because what I feel like saying is, sir, prove to me that you are not working with our enemies. And I don't...
Yeah, maybe.
How have I
Mike,
not seen this?
Mike,
Well, I know.
Mike, I think
I
you're
know.
too
I haven't
young. I think you're too young to remember this shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Straight to the fucking point.
When you brought up Ellison, this was the first thing I thought of. Like, I was like, wow, the first Muslim was elected to Congress.
Yeah.
And this
How
was
do you
his.
stop anyone from doing this bullshit, though? I mean, it's really.
Did you guys see any of the ads from Duncan Hunter? I think this is in California's 50th
Oh, yeah.
district. His opponent is Amar Campanajjar, and I believe he's a Christian. He was running ads basically saying, oh, he has ties to the Muslim Brotherhood. I mean, it was just blatantly Islamophobic. And it was one of the most, I think, racist things that we've seen in this election cycle. And we've seen a lot. Like, the Trump ad was pretty fucking up there. But I mean, like, yeah, it hasn't gotten much better, unfortunately. Well, I mean, it has, at least in electing Muslims to Congress. But, like, in terms of the rhetoric that the right uses, it really hasn't improved, which is sad.
I know you're not. I'm not accusing you of being an enemy, but that's the way I feel, and I think a lot of Americans will feel that way.
Well, let me tell you, the people of the 5th Congressional District know that I have a deep love and affection for my country. There's no one who is more patriotic than I am, and so I don't need to prove my patriotic stripes.
And I'm not asking you to. I'm wondering if you see that. You come from a district that is heavily immigrant with Somalians, and I think it's wonderful.
Okay.
Honestly, I think it is really a good sign.
Yeah, a lot. Like I was saying earlier, a lot of Somalis went to Ohio. The rest of them went to Minnesota.
Look, I think it's wonderful. I have tons of Muslim friends, but are you terrorists?
Nobody's less racist than me.
Right.
And somebody makes a point. Fluffy Donicorn says Muslim is not equal race. That's true, but you have to understand that someone who is brown, who is, I believe, a Christian, they were using that. So I mean, you have to be mindful of the fact that oftentimes race is linked to someone who is a Muslim, so just keep that in mind. They use it to fearmonger.
That you could be an icon to show Europe this is the way you integrate into a country. I think the Somalians coming out and voting is a very good thing. With that being,
I'd agree with you.
I'd agree with you. Sick.
Damn.
I don't mean to sound racist, but
Yeah. Whenever somebody says that and then they drop the butt, they're gonna say some really racist shit.
The last time I heard that was on a plane on the way to Europe, and it was this guy that was from New Orleans, actually, I believe.
Oh,
He's
God.
from Louisiana somewhere, and he was like, well, I'm a fan of NASCAR, and I don't mean to sound racist, but they're fans. They're people that work for a living.
Have you ever seen the movie Orgasmo?
Yes.
There's that character. It's Matt Stone, and he always is like, I don't want to sound like a queer or nothing. And then he sounds like, and then he says the gayest shit ever. Like, I would like to see you get fucked in the ass.
Yeah.
Like that kind of.
I remember that.
yeah.
I like to blow you, and you can blood busting out of my face.
Yeah. It's great. I love that.
Orgasmo's a great movie.
Inside joke with like me and my. I have a friend who is straight that would always say that to me. Just like, it was hilarious.
But because it's CNN, nobody's saying shit. Why? Why the double standard?
Who's like a stan for
even
CNN?
within.
I don't know any CNN fans. Like, they're just. I mean, I know people who hate CNN. Like, I'm not a fan of CNN, but I don't know anyone who's like, oh, I've got my fucking CNN shirt on. It's like, I don't know. I feel like they're kind of becoming this boogeyman to the right in the same way that like SJWs were a boogeyman and migrants were a boogeyman. There's always a new boogeyman. It's like, I don't know, but carry on. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, George Soros.
I mean, like, SJWs, they were a boogeyman, but they were real and they did have influence. And I was accused of ridiculous bullshit by the queen of the SJWs, Anita Sarkeesian. Because I dared take a photo of a public figure in a public place.
Did you have consent?
No, it was Anita Sarkeesian, who had just been on ABC News the week before. It was a public place. I was there.
I don't know, Ben. If there's a woman just taking a nap on an airplane, are you going to stop and take a picture of her?
It's not a random woman. It's Anita Sarkeesian.
That reminds me of the video. I saw this on H3. I can't remember, but this woman asked the guy what his name was, and he said Hugh, and she said Hugh what? He said humongous, and then
it was in Seattle,
screaming. That was actually really funny, and people made like these dubstep remixes with that, and it was hilarious. But yeah, no, I think that you're right that SJWs are a problem. And I've done, like on my channel, I've called out like certain instances of them. But for the most part, there are SJWs on the right and the left. Like how many people freak out and lose their minds whenever Colin Kaepernick like took a knee? You know, it's like there are snowflakes on both sides of the aisle. Though the point is that when there are snowflakes on the left who do things that are ridiculous, the right and the left make fun of them. But when snowflakes on the right are outraged, then they legislate. Like that's because really, you know,
it did create some great memes. There's
meme value.
Look at this.
Nike memes.
Look at this news story. This is about me. This is literally about me. Podcaster surreptitiously photographs Anita Sarkeesian, possibly in violation of Ohio state law.
Why'd you violate Ohio state law, Ben?
Wrote this. What is?
This is my tweet. Oh shit! I don't know why that took us to her. Yeah, there's my tweet. That's me. I made a tweet. I took photos of Anita over my shoulder, and
everyone does that when they see famous people. Like if you don't approach them, you like take a picture.
Yeah.
Like,
and then they were like, "Look how much money they make on Patreon."
Well, how much does Anita Sarkeesian make? If she makes more than you, you're allowed to take pictures of her, right?
Ben knew that by posting a photograph of Mercedes and Drunken Peasants would get a signal boost by Gamergate. Yeah. Podcaster Ben also violated Sarkeesian's common law right of publicity. Since it came from explaining her likeness. And yeah.
Why'd you violate her common law?
I don't know anything about her, but I kind of got like a bad impression from her from Boogie, who talked about a panel that he was on. He was really worried that she would lash out. So that's like I don't know anything about her, but I just know that I felt really bad for Boogie because he was like explaining, like he's the sweetest guy ever, and he was like explaining the anxiety he was having and that he would like was lashed out. So yeah, it seems like this person does kind of like tend to do this. I've seen so many photos. Like my own friends have taken photos when they see like fucking celebrities and whatnot, and not friends in real life, but friends on Twitter and stuff. You know, when they see someone famous.
See someone famous,
it's just like you know, even if you like them or hate them, you just that's what happens. If you're a public figure, like you're gonna get photographed, you're gonna get memed. Like I'm sad that there's not more memes of me, because I think I'm very meme worthy.
This happened in my city that I lived in. Anita did not live in the same city as me. I was in a tabletop board gaming place that I frequented playing a game, and Anita Sarkeesian walks in.
Stand your ground, Benjamin.
There's no fucking way. Let's see.
We don't want immigrants like Anita Sarkeesian coming into our table games.
Yeah, I feel like I want to see the comments too, because I feel like there's nobody who would be against you for this. I just feel like that's just so banal.
And we're using the photograph as a way of promoting that particular business venture without consent. That would represent a much more clear-cut violation of the Ohio law.
However, the photograph
this person
sanctioned endorsement.
Everybody's a lawyer. Everybody's a lawyer as soon as something like this happens to them. Like, I have studied I've studied the relevant case history of this and blah blah blah.
I did it when I took contract law 101 in community college. Like, you could not step to me with anything about the law without me dropping, some facts on you.
Down there, J. Ruth says, I'll agree with calling it creepy, but BENPAI from the Drunken Peasants is nothing but creepy. So of course he would take a picture of Anita Sarkeesian naked without her consent. Interesting. Oh, it's down there. I don't know. You scroll past it. Maybe you might have missed it.
It would be creepy if you're just taking a person of some random person, but this is someone who has is pretty famous. She has a huge following. That's celebrity status essentially. I don't see how that's creepy.
Mm-hmm.
It would be. I give them it was creepy if you were just straight up taking pictures of this random old lady or something like that. That would be creepy. But this is someone who's pretty popular.
There's an entire website called People of Walmart where you just take picture of fucking dilapidated humans, big old fat garbage people, and walking syphilis stacks.
Okay, so maybe I'll have to take that back. That just random picture dropping because I have enjoyed People of Walmart. So maybe you just found a little spot of hypocrisy there, Billy. Thanks.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, I've been People of Walmarted because I'm a big fat fucking guy that wears colorful clothes. I don't give a shit. People who give a shit.
I don't care either. That's the thing.
Thanks for being a downer.
We got a little bit more time before we.
My hypocrisy.
I know. Okay.
We got a little bit more time before we wrap up the show. I just wanted to play this guy's videos.
Where the Sunday school teacher literally said that the church was really corrupt around the time of the Reformation to the point where many of the popes weren't even saved. And my mom, who did, she didn't want to speak up or anything. She's not the type that just, is constantly piping up or something. She's keeping silent in the church and everything. But she felt compelled to stand up and say, are you saying that there ever was a pope that was saved? And she said, or the teacher said, well, yeah, of course. And he said, I think the pope we have right now, he said, I think the pope we have right now is saved, referring to John Paul II, who's roasting in hell right now. John Paul is in hell!
John Paul is in hell! My favorite thing about this guy is that he operates out of a strip mall, right? His church is just a tiny little strip mall. I want to go visit it. I imagine there's some good shopping in the area.
Scottsdale, Arizona,
yeah,
or right in Phoenix or Scottsdale, because I have passed that church because I go to Phoenix a lot for work, and I have been right past that church several times.
What are the other things in the strip mall? If I go down there, am I going to get some good barbecue? Am I going to be able to do some sandal shopping?
I don't remember what else you can get in that strip mall because I always pass it on the highway, but it's got a big sign and you can see the sign. I don't remember what the name of the church is. It's Scottsdale Bible Church or something weird like that, or just something mundane like that, I should say. But I don't know what else is there. But it's not very far from Amy's Baking Company. Do you remember that show?
Hell's Kitchen or whatever.
Yeah,
Gordon Ramsay.
Right. it was not Hell's Kitchen, but it was one of those kitchen nightmares.
Oh, Kitchen Nightmares. Yeah, I remember that.
It was Amy's Baking Company. It's not far. It's not all that far.
Interesting.
From
there. Are you serious? There's a lot of crazy being produced in that area.
High concentration of trash humans.
Yes, that in Florida is pretty much where all the weird.
I love how when you said that this is a church in a strip mall, it looks exactly like a church that would be in a strip mall with that painting in the background and whatnot.
He had a different painting last time. It was more Red Rock looking.
Huh.
So I wonder.
The funniest video of this guy ever is where he tries to do the sovereign citizen, can I be detained or am I free to go?
Yeah.
And
he did that too?
Yeah, and they bust in his window and they tase him and everything. It's hilarious. Anyway.
As they should.
Oh, how dare you say it? He's right there with Mother Teresa. Yeah. And you know what? You say, well, I'm offended. I'm leaving. Well, then go back to the mother whore Catholic Church.
Wow.
It's drunken with the blood of the saints and drunken with the martyrs of Jesus. Amen. That has murdered and killed and tortured true believers. And heretics and Jews and everybody else.
Yeah. They got it wrong a bunch of times. They got it right a few times, though, right?
Can I just say something? Okay, as one soy boy who admits that I'm definitely a soy boy beta male cuck, I could spot other ones. And this dude is like, he's very theatrical. He's very animated. You kind of see where I'm getting at. Like, there's something deep down that he's trying to hide. Like, you know, I don't know.
You think
he's
he believes he's compensating for something? Is that what you're
saying? You think a little, yeah. Yeah.
All the blood
prays
that's
to the
shed
meat
on
puppet?
the earth of all kinds of people, but including biblical Christians, and you have the gall to get offended when I tell you that the leader of this cult is in hell today. He's burning.
He's burning.
Oh, those who were burned at the stake, they may have only suffered for a few minutes or a few hours, but John Paul will roast in hell for all eternity with every last Catholic pope before him.
This is what I think of when I think of good Christian.
Bishop of that damnable.
I mean, like, how did the perpetuation of Christianity last for you to be able to exercise it? I think the Catholic Church played a huge role in that. So for you to say that they're all in hell now, I think the preservation of your own religion relied upon the power of the Catholic Church for centuries for you to even be Christian today.
You think this guy's worse than the Westboro Baptist Church?
I mean,
he doesn't. I don't think he goes and protests anyone.
I'd rather focus on who he's distancing himself from, because I would argue that his little branch of Christianity in the Western world wouldn't even exist without Catholicism. Like,
well, Ben, you're speaking like logic and facts, though, whereas this is just straight up, my religion is right. I know that for a fact. Every other religious person who's not part of my religion is going to hell.
I mean, in Europe, your religion had to become an empire to survive. Otherwise, it was just these crazy people that we need to kill, right? So Christianity found its way to take control of the Roman Empire, and that's why Christianity became what it is today. It became the state-sponsored religion, and that was Catholicism. Well, I mean, like, it was the main church before it split. One half Catholicism, other half Orthodox, but whatever. Your shitty
without
little
Catholicism, there would have been a Protestantism. Like, his branch of Christianity didn't even exist until like the 1400s. So yeah, you'd think he would have he would be somewhat thankful for them keeping it alive all that time, right? But I guess not.
Wicked Church of Rome is in hell, in the lowest hell, and will be for all eternity.
It's the only reason you're Christian and you're white is from the Church of Rome. Like, honestly, I mean,
hey man,
and we need some preaching against
yeah, thank you, my brothers.
the Roman Catholic Church today. You know, it's
Jesus was an incel.
They're murderous.
They are wicked. They are pedophiles. It is terrible. But, I mean, like, that's where you came from.
Dripping with blood. Dark places filled with pedophilia and sick filth of homosexuality. These monasteries are like a queer bathhouse.
Oh!
Wow.
Joseph Martelli there?
Interesting.
Wow.
And somebody needs to point out this horrible dragging of the name of our Savior in the mud for the last 2,000 years.
Who held it up? Who held it up?
They dragged this Savior for 2,000 years. Can you believe
excuses for it?
Can you believe this guy
Acting like it's
took
not
2,000 years to speak up?
It's nothing to do with Christianity. It's a
Nothing to do with
pagan,
Christianity.
Hocus pocus, chanting, work your way to heaven, build us a tower that we may reach unto heaven.
Yeah. The whole work your way to heaven by being a good person, throw that away. Get into heaven, get out of jail free card, way better, right?
Or
like the one good thing that you could possibly take out of Christianity, he's like, no, that's wrong.
Religion. I have nothing to do with anything of that harlot, the Roman Catholic Church.
Harlot?
Filthier than any literal whore who has ever walked down the street.
I'll tell you what, the Catholic Church, one of the few Christian churches that actually accepts real science.
True.
And
Jesuits. Yeah.
Do they?
Yes,
they do, except when it comes to birth control.
I went to 12 years of Catholic. Well, the birth control is still wrong. in the Catholic Church. Well, no. The Catholic Church accepts evolution. The Catholic Church accepts the explanation for the universe. We are not the center of the universe. We're not even
seriously. I didn't know that because I was brought up as just Protestant. So
I took real science. There are priests that are also like astronomers. There are priests that are also like medical doctors, psychologists. I mean, they have like they believe real science. It was accepted 50 years ago, basically.
Pope Francis Pope Francis is a Jesuit, I believe, and
he is.
And that's sort of the order of
Yeah, Jesuits were the like educational branch of Catholicism. I went to a coeducational Catholic high school, but I was taught the scientific method. I was taught like real astronomy, like the Earth was not 5,000 or 10,000 years old. Yeah, so
that's interesting.
Yep.
That's actually that's good. That makes me feel a little bit relieved. Like, because it was not my take growing up, in Christianity. It was definitely that evolution was not real,
I was still taught like personal morality. I was taught, like being gay was wrong. I was taught even like masturbation was wrong. And at my high school, if you were a girl and you got pregnant more than once, they had a 2-strike policy.
Nice.
Two-strike policy.
Yeah. If you got pregnant once, you had to go to classes every day for 3 months about morality and what you did and how you need to be a good parent, which isn't totally wrong. Like, it's not like being like, hey, you're a kid, but now you're an adult. You need to take responsibility. Isn't totally a bad thing. The whole like you'll go to hell for this thing is wrong, but like the whole like, hey, we need to teach you like how to be a mother thing. Like, I don't really disagree with that. But if it happened twice, you were gone from school. Like, you were expelled. Like, if you got pregnant more than once going to school there for 4 years, they just kicked you out.
Even if it was by one of the priests?
The priests weren't interested in girls.
Oh, okay, good.
Streets.
In my hometown, there was a murder covered up. A priest murdered a nun with a letter opener in the late 70s. Oh, dude, let me show you this. This is crazy.
Jesus.
I come from a very Catholic city. Lots of Polish immigrants, lots of Irish immigrants. And this was actually mainstream news at the time. The murder of Margaret Ann Paul. She was a nun, and she was murdered in the chapel.
Toledo.
Yeah, that's where I'm from, Toledo, Ohio. She was murdered in the chapel of Mercy Hospital. They found her with several stab wounds in her. And they ended up tracing this back to a cult of Catholic priests that dressed as nuns and abused people.
Nice.
No lie.
What?
Yes.
Is this where the saying "Holy Toledo" comes from?
Holy Toledo. Yeah, it's true. The saying "Holy Toledo" came from the fact that Toledo had so many European immigrant neighborhoods that there was a church like literally every mile.
Oh,
and until this day, there's still a Polish language church in Toledo.
I thought it was Holy Toledo because of all the stab wounds, the knife left in her chest.
Yeah.
So was this like something that was part of whatever cult that's the reason why he murdered her? Or was it just kind of like no kidding.
There was satanic ritual abuse.
What?
Yep. Yeah, the case remained unsolved with no new leads until 2003 when police received a letter from a woman who claimed that Robinson had sexually abused her when she was a child in a series of satanic ritual abuse.
See, I told you some of the girls
that also involved human sacrifice. The woman using the name Survivor Doe also filed a civil lawsuit against Robinson, seeking financial damages for having been a victim of ritual abuse by Robinson and other adults dressed as nuns.
Wow.
But the case was dismissed in 2011 due to having been filed too late. Statute of limitations.
Yep.
No kid. So that's okay. I had a question, but it's slipping from my mind. So was this basically like he was a Satanist that infiltrated the church?
Man,
that's what they said. That's what they said.
The whole church is full of Satanists.
This guy, I mean, this happened. The murder of Sister Paul happened in 1980. He was not charged or arrested for these crimes until the early 2000s.
Wait, he infiltrated the Catholic Church and murdered and raped people, and he did it with other people dressed as nuns, but it was an infiltration. The Catholic Church didn't have anything to do with it other than the hiding of it, because they couldn't face that scrutiny, and they would never do anything else like this other than hiding every fucking child rape over every fucking decade for the last 50 fucking years. Catholic Church is a fucking cult.
The same year that Fahrenheit 9/11 was nominated for an Oscar as a documentary in like that year for like best documentary. The runner-up was a movie called Twist of Faith, which was a movie about a guy from Toledo, Ohio, my hometown, who grew up in the Catholic school system, who was molested like the entire time he was in it. There was just there was just this long history of molestation, and they basically ran the city forever. Like, if you went against the Catholics in Toledo, you were not doing yourself a favor. And I was just yep, and even the, oh my God. And like a lot of my friends in high school didn't want to admit this, because we had a priest in our high school that basically was like, hey, you got a study hall first period? Come to my room. We'll all come hang out. And he was such a nice guy. He acted progressive. He was like, it's okay to be gay, but you know, I don't approve of the lifestyle, but it's okay. You can be forgiven. Like that kind of shit. And we were very receptive to him. Well, turns out the year after I graduated, they found kiddie porn on his computer. Jesus. You know, like, and like, I don't know.
I'm curious because I don't know anyone who's Catholic. Like, everyone, you know, around me is Christian. I'm curious if anyone, like maybe even in the chat, if your family is like still Catholic, how do they reconcile like some of these scandals, like the recent pedophile scandal? Like, when you go through and you read some of these details of abuse, like, it's nauseating. It's
here's
fucking
the
gut-wrenching.
issue.
So how do you reconcile that and still be a member of the church?
I'll tell you something. As someone who was raised Catholic, you know, like, think about these people. Well, first of all, the issue is systemic, based around the Catholic Church only choosing their clergy from celibate people. That is the root cause of why we have... Because you get people with mental illness, and they're like, hey, I have these urges. To abuse children. And the only way I can fight it is through God, so I should become a priest. And then, you know, God will help me fight these wrong urges that I have. Instead of getting real help for these urges, they join the priesthood. And then, you know, they all of a sudden they realize, oh my God, a priest is left alone with children constantly.
And they would never want to be with children if they were allowed to express their sexuality in a normal, healthy way.
Mm-hmm.
And so it has nothing to do with actually being gay. But Ben, as you just said, that's why they choose it, right? That's why they choose being a priest, because
But like, I can
fight this, right?
Yeah, and I agree with you to an extent, but I didn't say being gay.
Right, of course.
The sexual urges are for children. You know what I mean? And these people who have sexual urges to abuse children, instead of getting help, turn to God. They turn to this institution of celibacy, thinking that's going to help them.
Right.
But what ends up happening is they end up left alone with children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's just like, how can this ever end if that's how, like, the way you describe it, like, what do you do to stop that if you're the Catholic Church? I mean, they can't, so they cover it up, apparently. You know,
Right.
that's what they're doing.
And they have their own law too. It's called canon law. And internally they operate among this canon law. So it takes a lot for the church to really report a crime.
Yeah, people freak out about Sharia law, but there are canon lawyers around that basically do. It's the same.
It's evil.
It's the same thing. I know someone. I went to high school with someone that is now a canon lawyer, and it's a completely different world. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
That's so interesting to me. That's fascinating because I didn't know about this.
It shouldn't even be treated as legitimate. Yes, this story here, the murder of Margaret Ann Paul, a 50-year-old nun in a chapel because she knew too much. She got stabbed to death. This case was buried from 1980 until 2006 because it was held under the carpet of canon law for that long. And this is real. I mean, like, it actually made national news for a while, but it was swept under the rug. The Catholic Church is still powerful enough for that to be an issue.
And all those communities that you're talking about, Ben, like in Toledo, like all those immigrant communities and stuff, like I didn't grow up with. I mean, upstate New York, we had a lot of Catholics there too, because there was tons of Italians and Polish people that have been here a long time. But Mrs. Zonstar also is from Philly, and they actually they have Ukrainian Catholic churches there.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about the Eastern Rite Catholics, not Eastern Orthodox, but Eastern Rite Catholics, those priests can actually get married. And you know how many of those were involved in these scandals? As far as I know, 0.
Yeah, because you have a culture of repressing sexuality. So, and you know what? I honestly believe a lot of these guys that went into the priesthood that ended up molesting children went into it because they wanted to be helped, but they went to religion instead of psychiatric help. That was the problem. Yes.
Are you sure it's not just the fact that they grew up Catholic and they were molested?
Maybe some of them
so they
knew.
kept them tight and brought them in to molest again.
I think
as
maybe
a circle
some of them knew, or maybe some of them were molested as Catholic children.
I think they all were, and they not all. I think a lot of them were.
No.
And they were cycled back in.
Not all.
Not all. I think a lot of
guarantee you
people.
100% of priests have been molested.
You're wrong. You're
100%.
wrong. 100%. Say
Fact.
100%.
Did he say 100%?
100% of priests have been molested.
No, a lot of these people came in afraid of their urges that they were having mentally, and instead of talking to a psychiatrist, they talked to the church, who was like, "Don't worry, God will make that feeling go away." And it didn't, and then they found they were left alone with children. Constantly.
It manifested in the worst way possible.
Yes.
See, I think it's a lot worse. I think they've just been doing this for decades, if not centuries.
Centuries, they have.
And
they've been doing it for centuries.
It's commonplace, yeah.
But no.
They're like, let's molest these kids, and then when they get old enough to tell, we'll just tell them they have to become priests and they can molest too.
Yeah.
No,
but the thing is, I don't think it's a conspiracy. I think it's just the natural consequences of the system that they've set up for themselves.
It's the celibacy. Like, people are like, hey, I have these sexual urges that I know are wrong, and everybody tells me are wrong, but I'm Catholic and I believe in God, so I should become a priest because God will guide me away from these sinful sexual urges. And people do that not just with pedophilia, but also homosexuality.
I mean,
or whatever.
Catholic Church, it's got the best system. You go to confess.
What?
You go to confess, you confess all your sins.
Yeah, Al Capone did that.
So they know exactly where they can take advantage of you. Oh, you're having thoughts about butt stuff. Okay, we're going to peg you. You're having thoughts about sexual urges? Well, we're going to throw you to the fucking satanic cult of people dressed up as nuns, gang raping. They know exactly how to deal out the fucking people based on their problems, based on whether or not
I don't believe this
snitch
is.
it out.
I don't believe this is orchestrated by the church itself. I think it's a
It goes all the way up to like the top as far as cover-ups go.
It's a
Billy, I think you're describing Scientology. That's not the same.
I think they're all the same. I think it's all the same. Christianity, every Christian go to church, you pay fucking your money. They're trying to pull the money out of your pocket. They're trying to get your butt, your cash, or your fucking
anyway, guys.
Brain power.
I'll tell you what, guys. We've gone way longer than usual. If you guys want to stay, we can. If you got to go, I get it. Like,
it's cool.
Yeah, I can stay for a little bit more.
All right.
Yeah, I got a bit.
Yeah.
We still got to do an after show too. So
yeah, we will.
We just did a 6-hour show Tuesday, Ben.
You get paid good money.
But it's just sometimes.
If you guys want to join us for the after show too, by the way, you can just join our Discord, and we have an after show where we all discuss the issues.
And if you want to sit here and talk about Catholics raping kids for another half an hour, let's do it. Let's do it.
I know this conversation went to so many
You know what?
dark places.
I'll tell you what.
That was exactly what I said last night. I watched the show like a couple months ago. I did, and like toward the end, I was like, we got to this weird place, and I was like, how did we get here? And Ben's like, oh, I know how we got here.
I honestly feel like Fahrenheit 9/11 did a disservice to people that year, because that movie, Twist of Faith, is a real movie. It's a movie about a guy who went to Catholic schools in Toledo. He was molested by a priest who ended up leaving the priesthood and still remaining in the educational system in his area. But he got past it and became a firefighter and moved past it. But then he ended up finding that the dude that molested him lived like 5 doors down from him. And that's where it was an HBO movie. I don't even know if you can find it now these days, but it was put up for an Oscar against Fahrenheit 9/11 that same year. So
do you think that the Catholic Church paid to promote Fahrenheit 9/11 to try and cover up the documentary?
No, I don't think so. Anyway,
I bet you they did.
Was it a false flag, Billy?
I bet you they fucking did. I bet you can find a paper trail.
So, Mike, something you mentioned earlier, Mike, that I thought was interesting. Like you said, you grew up Protestant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you said you were curious about like what Catholics would. Have you seen the exit polls when they compare evangelicals to Catholics in terms of how they vote? And evangelicals are, of course, strongly always for the Republican candidate. Notice how Catholics tend to be closer to 50-50.
Oh, I haven't looked at that. Really?
Yeah. They tend to be much closer to 50-50.
There are progressive Catholics. I'll tell you what, like the official position of Catholics are it's weird because it goes back and forth. Like, birth control is sinful, but so's capital punishment. Capital punishment is very sinful. A war is very, very sinful.
See, that's at least principled, and you can rationalize that. Like, what doesn't make sense, like, to me, is how Christians will vote Republican because, abortion is tantamount to murder, but at the same time, we support the death penalty, we support endless wars. There's no ideological consistency there. So
Catholics are consistent.
That makes sense. No, that totally makes sense to me. That's what you would expect from someone who actually is truly religious. That deep commitment to these moral sets, of principle.
Yeah, it's a combination of that, and also it's also partially a function of geography. Think of where Roman Catholics are concentrated in terms of what part of the country. It's the Northeast, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so those tend to be the places that are a bit more liberal anyway. And I'm not sure which one is the cause and which one is the effect, but it's certainly that's, I think, part of the reason as well. But yeah.
No, that's fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, in some ways they are progressive, but in many ways they're not too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but they're also very and I don't know if that's everyone's experience, but I hear from a lot of Catholics, Mrs. Onstar included, there's this sort of you just decide that you're not going to pay attention to that, like
That's
whatever
called-
something's happening.
That's called cafeteria Catholicism.
Right.
Where you
right.
pick and choose what you like. My parents are cafeteria Catholics. My parents used birth control. Otherwise, I'd probably have like 10 brothers and sisters.
Right.
You know? So, yeah.
I feel like there's that cherry picking, you know, in all religions to a degree, but certainly like in my family, like there was so much cherry picking to where it wasn't difficult to leave the religion because I felt like, okay, some of these things, they just don't make sense. If we're following principles, we have to follow them all the way through and see them to their logical conclusion. But that wasn't the case. So I could see how someone would adhere to Catholicism and subscribe to that ideology if they actually do abide by their principles. That does make sense to me. So I've kind of I've always had this view that, oh, it's just, you know, you're going to have these conflicting set of ideas if you are religious, Christian, Catholic, you know, they're pretty similar. So this is that's new to me. That's interesting.
Yeah. Catholicism is like very cut and dry in many ways. Like, and that was one thing I actually appreciated about it. The one thing that I appreciated about it was that like real science was there. Like that's really important.
Yeah.
Like the Vatican had their own like science department. You know, like
that's really, really encouraging. I'll tell you this. I had a conversation when I was like 12 or 13 with my pastor because I had questions. Like I wasn't like trying to challenge him. I was still a believer, but like I had a bunch of questions as to why the Bible's narrative wasn't making sense to me. For one, it was like, I remember asking him, okay, what about Adam and Eve? So if they were Adam and Eve and they had to multiply, they have one kid and another kid, there's no way for them to multiply unless their kids have kids with each other.
Right.
And so my pastor's response was, well, I'm sure that they did that to a degree. And then at one point God said, stop. But then I'm like, but wouldn't that lead to a bunch of like 3-eyed mutant fucking babies like around the planet?
Well, that's
so
different.
That didn't make sense. Yeah,
Is that exactly what you said, Mike? Did you say, well, wouldn't that lead to some fucking 3-eyed mutant babies?
We only got the 3-eyed babies because of the generations of sin afterwards. When they're that pure, when they're cut from the source, we get those blonde, blue-eyed, white babies that all the Christians want to look like.
Aryan Jesus with the blue eyes.
Yeah.
Aryan Jesus.
The Aryan Jesus looking babies.
Blonde hair, blue-eyed Jesus.
Anybody who thinks Jesus was brown obviously doesn't believe in God.
Right. Well, clearly not. One second, I just have to use the El Baño.
You're arguing about Jesus not being white, but yet you'll accept that dinosaurs walked with humans 6,000 years ago? Fuck out of here.
My next thing, I asked that to my pastor. I'm like, okay, at what point did, the Bible talk about dinosaurs? Because how did Noah fit a Tyrannosaurus Rex 2 on the ark? Like, I was trying to figure out, like, at what point was this? And he's like, oh, well, if you go back in Job, you can see descriptions of animals with tails as big as palm trees. And I read through Job, like, twice, and I couldn't find it. It's like, he's making this shit up. And, like, that was my instinct, but of course I had the cognitive dissonance. I couldn't admit that to myself, but I'm like, I'm not fucking seeing it, So all these things kind of come back to me as I started to like leave the religion, and it's like, this makes no sense whatsoever that like Adam and Eve were riding on dinosaurs and shit. Like,
do you think
so was this before like you recognized your sexuality because you probably held it back, or was it like after the fact, like you came to a realization of your sexuality and then came to a realization that Christianity was garbage? Or
no, it was so like I pretty much like I realized that I was like, I started to realize what my sexuality would be at like the age of 5. It's just that you don't know what that means. You know what I mean? Like the conversations that I recall with my mom of me saying, I don't want a girlfriend, I want a boyfriend, when she'd say like, oh one day when you get a girlfriend, just little things like that you recall now. Oh, that's what that was. But like I was actually Christian when I started to kind of like come out to myself and my family, and like a year or two later, then it was like, okay, now and what's weird is that I actually kind of used Christianity to justify me like coming out, because I kind of convinced myself this is kind of what God wants me to do. I prayed about it, and I wasn't praying for the right thing before. And
if there is a God, that is what he wants you to do.
Yeah. he clearly wants me to do this. You know, I it's not working too well with women. So, you know, maybe that was a sign from God.
God
you know, so
wants me to bang dude butts.
The atheism came after that, which is weird, you know?
Yeah. It's true. Like,
People have weird ways of dealing with shit.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, I argue on Twitter with Caden Cowger a lot.
That name sounds really familiar. I feel like
it sounds familiar to me too, but I don't know why I know him.
The MAGA boy wonder.
He was a 12-year-old that wanted to be Rush Limbaugh, and now he's like 18. Oh, you know what? I'll just do it. I'll just do it for you guys. I'll download a Caden Cowger video really quick. And this can be our last segment before we're done.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like you shared a tweet with me from him over Twitter or whatnot. And
yeah, I wanted you to come and debate him because he's attacking gays like explicitly, and like one of his biggest videos ever was entitled "Obama is making kids gay."
What about the frogs?
He's so sexy. He's making me want to be with him.
Sexy dad Obama.
You know, a lot of women did say Obama was the sexiest president.
Well, he's definitely sexier than fucking the last. All of them from my life.
A lot of women like Bill too.
Bill was cool, but he wasn't sexy. He was kind of
a lot of women did think Bill was like
he had that
an attractive
belly.
president.
He was a fat man named Bill. That's not
he was
sexy.
kind of chubby. He wasn't like
But you know what? You know what Bill Clinton had was charisma. That guy had.
He did. Okay, and I've seen him live. When I saw Bill Clinton live, it was like seeing Dave Chappelle live. Like,
I guess if you're fat and named Bill and you have charisma, then maybe people. Will
he
find you
wasn't that
sexy.
fat though.
He was fat though.
Billy, you're not an incel. Come on, you've got charisma. You can.
Billy gets the ladies.
I'll voluntarily sell a bit of this dick.
Here it is. Check this out. This is Caden Cowger. Okay, so some school somewhere had like a career day, and they let drag queens come and do their thing. And Caden Cowger was so offended.
Any other side of yourself that you'd like to explore?
And that's him on the left.
I want to explore my inside.
Yeah, you could be a drag queen superhero.
So you're saying everybody can be a drag queen?
They can.
Yeah.
They can.
Guys, this is brainwashing. This is making kids gay. Every now and then, I always run across something that reminds me of something that I have said or predicted in the past, and then it...
And by the way, I've invited this guy on multiple times to debate me. He's dodged me and been like, well, he's mean and disrespectful. And then I'm like, you're Caden Coward. And he's like, you call me a coward. I'm never coming on.
Behold,
so
that's right all along. And it happened to me again today on social media. I was on Facebook, and this stupid video of a drag queen popped up, okay? And it's this drag queen reading to a bunch of school children in this quote-unquote drag queen story hour. And it looks just as bad as you would expect it to look like.
He lives in West Virginia, too, by the way.
And I got to tell you, it just completely
I could drive
amazes
over there
me.
and smack him myself.
This is what they're brooding in West Virginia.
Just how absolutely darn accurate I was at 13 years old, at 15 years old, because when I was 15, I said at that time, liberals are making kids gay.
What they are trying to do to these kids is basically they are trying to make them gay. I mean,
He
there's
brought
no
the
other way to
receipts.
put it. When they are encouraging these kids to
I like his
have
little microphone
homosexual
graphic.
relations
Age
with
15.
the same sex, no matter if they
Even
are
at 15, before his
heterosexual or not,
testicles
when they are
descended,
giving them
he
assignments,
knew the
acting
liberals
out
made kids
homosexual
gay.
acts in the classroom. What is that? That is making them gay.
Homosexual acts. Anybody that
In the classroom, everyone's blowing each other in the classroom.
Oh, you know that game
That's
you
what's
play?
happening.
That game you play where you fold a piece of paper into a football and try and
That
kick
means
it through
blow
someone's hand?
Johnny, blow Billy,
That's a homosexual
blow
act.
Steven.
If you play tabletop football in class, that's a homosexual act.
What was I talking about in that video? About how people are using experimentation, about how the liberal left is promoting, doing every way that they possibly can to get kids to experiment.
This guy is on like 8 different radio stations.
Shit.
Yes.
To get involved in that.
I'd rather have the kids experimenting with the liberals than just getting railed by the Catholics.
That it will.
And every time I stand up to him, he strawmans me and ignores me.
Because you're a boomer.
The promotions are already occurring.
All right, let's have an MMA match. Me versus Caden.
You want to beat up a little kid?
He's not a little kid anymore.
He's a little kid.
He's an
We're
adult.
all like elderly to him. He's like what? How old did you say he was now?
He's 18 or 19. Me and Caden Cowger. Ben versus Caden Cowger. Cage Rage 2018.
Ben the Bull versus Caden Cowger.
Yeah, let's do it, bitch. I just had a triple hernia
Vasectomy.
surgery.
Triple vasectomy.
Did you really?
Yeah,
hernia surge.
I
Holy
did
shit.
have. I had 3 hernias that I had removed 3 months ago. I'll still fight.
Oh, that's right. I
Caden.
remember the tweet about that. Are you doing okay? Because that's pretty serious.
Yeah, I'll show my scars. So I have these 2 little scars right here, and then I have that one right there.
No kidding.
Yep.
Wow.
Those are Ben's new buttholes.
I didn't even know you could get a hernia this high up.
No, it's not. No, that's how because they do it laparoscopic now.
Laparoscopic.
Yeah, so they make a little incision and poke it down in there. So
Years prior to that, in 2012, when I
But Caden, come on. Let's get into the octagon together.
was 13, I said that
I kind of
Obama
want to psychoanalyze him, and I always do this, but I say I shouldn't, but I'm going to do it anyway. So the view in exposing kids to homosexuality because they think they might see that and think, oh, this looks cool. I think I might want to be gay. Total projection. Because when I was a Christian, I thought the same thing because, surprise, surprise, I was gay, so I was, this is all fucking projection. I feel like all these people are one-trick ponies. We can't have gay people around kids because if they see it and might be enticing, well, it's not enticing to everyone. It's enticing to you.
Yeah, because you're gay.
And Mike, I don't know if you've seen this clip, but there was a relatively famous evangelical preacher who said something similar to exactly your point. It was just a few years ago.
About.
Do you know? Yeah, he was like, well, I know, things can be confusing when you can be very confused when you're a teenager and not know. And I was thinking to myself, well, I always kind of knew I liked women. I don't know.
I'm thinking of.
I'll do it for real. This dude is probably 13 years younger than me. I will fight Caden Cowger in the cage.
He's 20 years younger than you.
I would obliterate this dude.
Yeah, he's a little kid. Dude, he's
not a kid.
Mike just said he's
a kid here.
He's
in
a closet gay kid. You want to beat up a little gay kid?
No, I'll tell you what.
Beat up a little gay kid?
I'll tell you what. I personally, because this show's been going on for almost 5 years now. I did not cover his videos forever because he was a little kid, and now he's an adult. I will take him on in the cage.
They are
in the cage
becoming homosexuals. Why they are becoming gay? It's because they're being
gay.
I will dress in drag and beat the fuck out of Caden Cowger.
Ben versus Caden Cowgirl? I'll watch that.
A boxing match like that. I would pay for that.
Yeah, I would. I'd wear a dress and beat the fuck out of Caden Cowger.
I'll fight Alex Jones then.
You know what? They're talking about being a homosexual, and they're saying that there's nothing wrong with being gay. So you know what? I think I might try that out for a little bit.
What was that? Is that how easy it is? Is that how easy it is? Hey guys, is there anything wrong with being gay? Because I don't think there's anything wrong with being gay, but I don't want to try it out. I haven't sucked a dick since I was 12 years old. I have no drive to.
And then we come to find out
it's like those ads where it's like, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
Now he's going to say he was right about all this shit.
What they were actually doing is that they were going into the Department of Education and they were creating this type of LGBT curriculum and then started teaching that to children. And that's why we had GSAs that started rising up in all public schools across the country. And then in addition to that, these GSAs and various other LGBTQ programs were telling kids that it's okay to experiment. Well, if sexual orientation is an innate thing, why is there a questioning phase? Why do people go through this phase where they question if they are homosexual or not?
Everyone does.
Because nobody...
And you've done it too, you lying sack of shit.
Nobody just knows that they're gay, right? Like, you have to...
Everyone asks themselves if they're gay.
They have no other experience to put it on because you don't just grow up saying, I know what it's like to be straight. You just assume you're straight. That's the default.
That's the default position. We live in a society where statistically, there's like 2-3% of people that are gay. So you just assume the default. How is that an argument?
And you're getting these feelings that you don't even understand, or these things you're seeing that the other people don't see, but you can't compare that to other people because you're not inside other people's fucking heads. You're in your own fucking head.
There's another basic failing that these people, they always assume that you can't figure out that you're gay until you're sexually mature. And I know several gay people who I know well enough that I've asked them, around what age did you know? And it's never I was 14 or 15.
Puberty.
It was always 7, 8, 9.
Yes.
I don't want to speak for you, Mike, but I mean, what was your
actually,
experience?
when you were in the bathroom, I kind of touched on this.
He did
I was
say 5.
But it's not
Right.
when you're 5, you're like, oh, I'm gay. It's just kind of little things, and I
It's not
example.
It's not
of my mom talking
sexuality.
about it.
It's not necessarily sexual. When I was a kid, I had a friend named Andy, and Andy always wanted to be the girl in where we were all
You're in the Devil's Triangle.
No,
that's right.
We're playing the X-Men. I'm Wolverine. My friend is Cyclops. Andy wanted to be
Storm?
Rogue or
Yeah,
Storm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andy wanted a little bit of the fucking triangle.
I'm telling you, Billy, there's a future for you on Fiverr. Devil's Triangle.
I know.
I'm 35. Do you think I'd know by now if I was gay? Is it possible I haven't figured out yet?
You'd have kind of a sense, but you're never too sure. You're never too sure. It could still be a phase.
He's ambiguous though because he likes
repressed.
He likes
I was never
chicks with
repressed.
dicks.
I don't like chicks with dicks.
Oh, liar.
I'm just not going to throw out a salad because there's an anchovy in the middle. I'll eat around it.
Because it's just like any type of sexual activity. Any type of sexual activity. Regardless of if you get, really weird into 50 Shades of Grey stuff, or you get into various
That's
other
not
types.
really weird, dude.
Really weird into the shades of
By the
gray
way,
stuff.
Caden's from West Virginia.
Just messed up
50 Shades of Grey. That's
ways
like the
of
Diet
how to
Coke
phrase it. No,
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Someone slapped someone on the ass.
Yeah, I'm
With
vanilla.
that-
I'm vanilla as hell, and I'll still slap somebody on the ass and tie him up with some
that
rope.
shit is only titillating in Middle America.
Yeah, it's like soccer moms that haven't had a good shagging in a while, so they want to read about getting smacked around because that's what their husbands actually do to them is just slap them around, tell them to make dinner.
on things. It is this perversion that infests your mind, and then
It
just
infests your mind.
becomes your desired preference. And that's how homosexuality works. That's how adultery works.
How's it feel to
That's
be
how,
infested, Mike?
Stuff like the 50 Shades of Grey stuff.
So
I think what
adultery.
he's describing is actually pretty apt. It infests your mind, and you're like, at about the time you reach sexual maturity, you're like, oh fuck, it's true. I am kind of gay, but I'm gonna repress that shit. But I like how he compares it to adultery, where it's like, well, I feel like I'm gonna be an adulterer. It's like, what? He's describing his experience is what I think is the case. He's describing the way it's in
He's
his
too
mind and
young
thinking,
to
oh, it's
understand any of this. He's a kid, and
Yeah,
that's
he's
why
too young. I feel like he's too young, so that's why I wouldn't be too hard on him because I feel like at 18,
I left him alone for too long. I left him alone for too long, and now he's still doing this shit, and he's syndicated around the nation on radio stations everywhere.
That is crazy.
Yes.
Is there a little Venom Fang X in him?
A little bit. He is.
Stuff works. It infests your mind. So when they're exposing this stuff to kids, these little kids that are in elementary schools, these kids don't even look like they're, in elementary school. Maybe preschoolers, maybe kindergartners at the very least. I mean, it's just really messed up. It just all comes back to what I said when I was just 13 and when I was 15 about how they were exposing kids to this type of content, to this type of...
So everyone who's watching right now, I would like for you to tweet at Caden Cowger, tell him he's welcome on the show, and we will... we'll let him on. We won't use dirty language. I would like to have Caden on so we can talk to him. And I've treated people from the right very well. I've had people from the right on here so many times.
Yeah, you have the receipts. You guys do talk to everyone.
I do, and I have friends, like, honestly, like, JF, he's my friend. And I find his views despicable, but, like...
You didn't know them when you became friends.
Yeah, it's true. But, you know, like, he's shown kindness to me, and I've shown kindness to him. It's hard. Like, for me, I don't draw lines on political ideology.
Are you saying, Ben, that you love the sin or hate the sin? I feel like you're getting...
That sounds very similar to what you just said. Just in different words.
I mean, in a way, if it's true. I don't agree with ethnocentrism, but JF...
Oh, I remember. Okay, you said JF and that name rang a bell. That was the guy who you guys wanted me to debate.
He's an ethnocentrist, and nobody will. I mean, nobody will talk to him. And he's more than willing to come on and talk to somebody. And I think it's worth... and people say they don't want to platform him. He already has a platform. His platform's...
He's an ethnocentrist, but he's not a white nationalist. He's
you know, I mean, he is technically, but he's also a PhD. He's also a scientist.
Yeah, that doesn't. That's a different continuum to me.
But no, he really is. I mean, the credentials say he is.
Yeah, no, I believe.
Yeah, I was in a PhD program, and not all people with PhDs are smart, so that
right.
It doesn't resonate with me. Like,
I mean, I have a master's degree too, and you know, it's like I
want someone to. Okay, Jean-Francois, he has a lot of issues in his personal life that a lot of people have focused on. I want someone to come on and talk to him about ideas. I don't want someone to come on and attack him for his personal shit. Like, he has had some questionable personal shit. I want him to come on, and I want someone to talk to him about his idea of ethnocentrism, because that's the idea I want challenged. I don't want, like, because people... Okay. He had a relationship with a woman he met through our show who had like autism, and they went to court about, like...
You say autism, but she was not legally allowed to date him because she didn't have the mental capacity to date him. That's not exactly autism.
That's not what I wanted about. We're touching on that, and it's true. And a lot of people...
And I don't think that's bad anyways. If he wants to bang a girl that he legally can't, I feel bad for him. Like, she's an adult, right? Like, she's legally, her parents won't let her bang. That's too bad. She deserves love. I don't think I would want to bang that girl. I don't know. Maybe she's super hot.
I don't know.
Maybe she's...
I don't even want to get into it.
I wouldn't even...
The courts took care of it.
Quite frankly, brainwashed indoctrination. And everyone at that time called me crazy for it. And none of the conservatives in the mainstream media would listen to me, would, even give me the time of day, saying, oh, that's crazy. And now next thing I know, there are major news outlets, and the videos are circulating around of how this stuff is just being promoted. I mean, and no one listens. They're just like, oh, yeah, wow, I didn't see this coming from a mile away. I did. I was saying this at 13, and no one would listen. And now that it's happening, now they're infesting the school systems. Now they're teaching kids that you need to go out and experiment with same-sex relations. You need to go out and embrace your feminine side. You need to go out and dress up like drag queens.
Who wants to be a drag queen when they grow up?
Now suddenly, oh, well, this is really bad. This is not good. Here's a video that I'm talking about and that I'm referring to and talking about all this. And you're going to come to find out that the stuff that I said when I was 15, when I was 13, was actually spot on. And I've had it all along. But that's what's been frustrating to me. This stuff is just clear as day now. And it's just like everyone is like, oh, okay, I never thought that this was going to happen. Anyway, here's the video that really caused me to have this reflection. Go ahead.
Hi.
My name is Miss B, and I am a drag queen. And this is Drag Queen Story Hour. Give it up for yourself. Yeah. This is the land of all.
By the way, this drag queen could probably beat the shit out of Kaden Cowger just based on her arms alone.
And everyone fits in here. Do you see that? They're being nice to the bullies. What color is the frog? Green. The reactions from the kids are hysterical. Does anyone know what a drag queen is? No? Do you know what a drag queen is? But they warm up, they get to know who I am. A drag queen is a character you create to express your feminine side or any other side of yourself that you'd like to explore.
I would like to be a superhero.
Yeah, you could be a drag queen superhero.
Oh, Caden's so upset.
As soon as we start singing songs and having fun together, is when it
upsets the
His
natural
reaction.
order.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, put your
Righteous
right hand up.
indignation.
Drag Queen Story Hour helps teach kids to accept themselves and let them know that it's okay to be themselves and to be who they are and to accept others.
I like the book Neither because it's about being nice to other people.
We do a lot.
Oh no.
And guys, this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. It is just complete brainwashing that's taking place in the school systems, because what he's essentially saying is that it's okay to embrace your feminine side. You need to embrace your feminine side. That's what being a drag queen is. Everyone should be a drag queen. Didn't you hear what he said to that one kid? That one kid said, I want to be a superhero. He said, yeah, you can be a drag queen superhero. So he's saying everybody can be a drag queen? Yeah. Like, guys, this is brainwashing. This is making kids gay. This is making kids, whatever that is. It is so absolutely clear. I don't know how people don't see this. Because what was he doing? He was personalizing it to this individual kid. You can be a drag queen.
You could if you wanted to.
When I was 16 years old, I started going to the Rocky Horror Picture Show every weekend. And there were plenty of gay people there, and I knew I wasn't gay, and none of it turned me gay.
Look, do you think they brought this drag queen in because they're exceptional readers? Is that why they were in there, just to read to the fucking kids?
Reading.
No, they weren't there just to read to the fucking kids. When you bring a police officer in to talk to the kids, they talk about when you grow up, you can be a police officer. When you bring in anybody represented by any fucking thing to talk to kids, it's to give them somebody to look up to within that realm in case one of these kids wants to do that. If one of these kids wants to grow up, put on some fucking dresses, tuck their dick back, and dance around singing some weird fucking disco songs, let them do it.
I love how he's explaining this nefarious thing that's happening, and the only thing that the kids are taking away is this amorphous conception of being kind to people and treating people respectfully. It's how worst case scenario, in the event his hypothesis were true and all these kids grew up to be drag queens, who gives a fuck? Does that really impact society in a negative way to the extent that we have to make sure that we warn everyone about this? Even their worst case scenario doesn't really make sense. If it came to fruition, that really wouldn't change things. It wouldn't fundamentally reshape society. It's just, I don't understand. The only reason why I think he feels that this is a threat is because to him, this type of life is enticing. You think, man, I just love to fucking play Madonna and throw on a wig.
Exactly. Yeah, that's and Mike, that's a form. And I know it's one of those things that gets overused, but it may be a form of projection.
I want to see Caden's rendition of "Papa Don't Preach." I'm ready for
Papa
it
don't
right
preach.
now.
I'm in trouble.
Papa don't preach.
When I was 12 years old, I told
I don't know
you.
the rest of the word. Song.
I told you when I was 12 years old that the gays were going to have sex.
All right, we're gonna wrap up this show and go into the post show, guys. If you guys want to plug anything, do it.
If you want to plug Caden Cowger's little boy hole.
I plug Mojo the cat.
Mojo. Yeah, I don't have anything to plug. You just, follow the podcast if you want to. If you want to hear, the opposite, the left-wing equivalent of Ben Shapiro. If you want to listen to a soy boy cuck with an annoying voice, then Humanist Report.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to see my videos, I'm on YouTube on Zonstar is my channel. And that's it.
All right. Thanks, guys, for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
And thanks to the rest of you for watching us.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everybody.
Good night.
Good.
In the beginning, there was nothing. And then there was the Drunken Peasants Podcast.
Drunken Peasants. Drunken Peasants. Drunken Peasants. Drunken Peasants. From the strangest corners of the internet, gonna get TP'd by Billy and Ben. You know where you can find them at. Get ready, cause they're gonna kick your... Drunken Peasants. Drunken Peasants. Drunken Peasants. Drunken Peasants.